Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright, alright, alright. 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 Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright, alright.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Hopefully, everybody's had a good week. Hopefully, everybody's okay. And hopefully, everybody's growing and ready to do some great things. You good? You ready to do this?
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Well, before we get started today, I want to make sure we get a chance to do a quick check-in I want to see, we're 6 months in. So those of you who are at home, I know a lot of you guys are just signing on, and some of you guys, when you first sign on, you're spending the first 15 minutes. What's up, fam? Hey, fam. What's going on, y'all? Oh, shit. Where you at? But once you guys get past that, I want to just check in with everybody and see how class is working for you. This is 6 months in. What are you struggling with? What's the challenges? What's some things that's impacted you and some things you just, I can't stomach that yet. While you're in the chat group, share some of those ideas, and we're going to pause the class for a second, and we're going to jump into some of that. I want to hear about, I think sometimes in this class, we go high level a lot. We go into principles and biases and distortions and strategies and so forth and so on. And I think what is often missed is the basics. Are you sleeping? How are you eating? Are you being your best? What's stopping you from being your best? How do you feel about yourself? Who's your friends? It's crazy about human beings. Our closest 5 friends interpret who we are. They have more impact on our reality. How's your environment? Have you changed your environment to go with your new mindset? Are you still trying to make your old environment work? Have you let go of some of your old habits and practices? Or are you so in love with those habits and practices, that's, as far as you're concerned, you want that more than you want this growth, this business stuff? I think sometimes we have this deep love for what is, and it stops us from fighting for what we want. And, so these are questions you have to ask yourself, you know what I mean? How's the family? How are you dealing with your emotions? How aware are you of your emotions? Are you at a point where, and I don't want to hear how you are with your emotions when things are calm and comfortable. How are you responding to those extreme moments when you get angry, or you're scared, or you're sad? Are you even aware that you have fear? Are you? Or are you so caught up in the moment that you think that the way you feel right now as you watch this class, this is who you are when you're in battle? Do you even know when you are in battle? I mean, these are real questions. I think that sometimes we can get into these very philosophical spaces, and we can get to moving. You're reading all this information, and the only thing it's really doing is giving you more things to talk about, but your life is the same. You're not doing anything different. I want to give a compliment to Brother Monty. We did our podcast this week. Me, Brother Court, and Mashama. We had 2 guests come in, and Monty and Kevin Allen collaborated. And Monty came to me and said, "Nana, give me the project." He didn't say, "Can I help?" He said, "Nah." First he said, "Can I help?" Right? And I said, "Well, yeah." He goes, "Let me take it over. Let me produce it." Now that's a big ask. He didn't say, "Can I just do the titles, or can I just invite the guests, or can I just take care of food?" He said, "Nana, can I produce it?" And I showed up. First of all, he sent out numerous emails to convey confidence by saying, "I got this, I got that, I'm taking over this, I take over that." And then Danielle joined the team, and Danielle's just a beast. Danielle's just she lives in a different universe where it's almost like she lives in a tower where she's able to look down and see more things.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. That's hot. That's hot. But it's like she can see things that other people can't see. So she joined the team, and I saw a happiness in her. Because see, Danielle doesn't like to join anything that ain't serious. Right? That's just how she gets down. And she likes to see things. She likes to see you finish building something. Don't start something and don't finish something. And in the Black community, that's kind of a popular behavior, starting something, but not finishing something. And so, but he has so much control of the project that she just jumped in the back seat and said, "How can I help?" So I had brought this new sound system for podcasting. I didn't know anything about it, but I bought the sound system, and then I read up on it. Then I watched a couple of videos, and after a couple of videos, I was able to control it. So she called me like 2 days before the podcast and said, "Hey, we need the sound system that you just purchased." I said, "Yeah, but you guys, I need to train you guys on how to use it." Now, mind you, I took it on my initiative to go out and figure it out, right? Because I didn't know how to. I don't even fucking do sound, but I spent a whole week every night just studying sound and podcasts, and from the recording of it, testing of it, to actual editing of sound, to output, to even posting sound, right? And so I'm learning all these technical terms and what they really mean, and so I can own the knowledge. So Danielle says to me, "Well, we're gonna come get the soundboard. Don't worry about it. They've already downloaded 6 or 7 videos. They're gonna study it and be ready for it on Saturday." So of course, I'm a little nervous, right? Because I'm like, I know that's what I would do. That's how entrepreneurs move. Like if you call to show up tomorrow, you just don't show up hoping you could just make the right decisions like you're playing dice. But you take every second of every minute that you can spare to learn everything you can. So on Saturday, you're at least qualified to be in the game. I might not be Kevin Durant, but if you pass the ball to me, I'm gonna hit at least one shot, right? So I walk in. Monty has his Shure headphones on, got everything wired up properly. I walk up to him and I say, "Is the voice set to 18 dB?" He said, "Absolutely. That's where I've set everything." He goes, "Do you want me to focus on getting the sound perfect while you guys are communicating, or do you want me to focus on completing it in post?" I said, "Well, shit, let me go over here and chill. Like I said, you got this under control, right?" I looked at the environment. Him and Danielle coordinated the look, the space, the ideas. I walked in, I was extremely impressed. Marquita laid out the whole comfort space. She managed the comfort. So comfort-wise, everybody was comfortable. We had every snack, drink, chips, fruit, chocolate. We damn near had somebody walking around fanning us because it was so fucking comfortable, right? That's called ownership. Now, why did I describe this? Not just because I want to say I was highly impressed with everyone's performance, and Monty extremely impressed me. But I want to tap Monty for a minute, just for a minute. I want to make him the focus for just for the sake of this conversation.
Yeah, dope.
Quite often when black folks, when we ask to be the man or be the woman, we don't show up like the man or the woman. And the cold part, we won't say it. We won't acknowledge it, nor will we reflect, was that really the best I could have been? Is that really the best that people could have expected of me? But we will take a slight praise. And then y'all should know on Facebook, you can get a praise for nothing. Y'all seen somebody tell an ugly baby, "Oh, she's so cute," on Facebook. You see people get thumbs up for, "Yeah, look at what I'm doing right now." And everybody know that shit is whack. But you'll get a thumbs up. "That's my cousin. We are so proud of you. Look at you, baby." We'll take that. And that's spec for us. And we don't say to ourselves, what's the best I can be and how can I be better than that? And we don't push for that. Now, this is not a flaw or insult or attack on any human being that's listening to what I'm saying. What I'm trying to highlight is that there are psychological challenges that we're dealing with. And if I had to shrink it to even a simpler way of like creating a picture in your brain, there are weak muscles in our behavior. There's these weak muscles that's compromising how we're showing up. And that's fine, right? I mean, like, you can't ask a person to walk into the gym the first day and bench press 400 pounds. That's fine. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to see you put 400 pounds on the barbell tomorrow and you've done no training. And psychologically, there's people sitting in this class who's reading all the manuals and they're going to gyms on their cell phone observing everything everybody's doing. They fall in love with this training technique and this style, and they even have heroes in the game, and they even recognize, and they even love when the bodybuilders say, "Come hang out with me sometimes." But psychologically, how are you training so when you called up to bat, you're at least making contact. You're at least making contact. Monty showed a sense of ownership, not box checking. Let me be very clear. Some of us, now this is where perfectionism hits a lot of us, and this is not just one person. Many of us would just check boxes so we like, at least I did what I said I was going to do. Monty controlled confidence. He didn't look. Monty's a big, strong dude. He's one of the old countrymen, right? Like he probably don't even need a fucking donkey. He just carried a goddamn plow through the dirt himself, right? He's strong. That's a strong ass man, right? But the whole time he was smiling, pleasant, reassuring, and performing. And his performance was a roar. So he didn't need to roar. He didn't need to play professional. He didn't need to give himself a title. He was everything. And he earned my, look, I've been doing this for years, man. I've been doing this shit for years. I put together productions I can put together a production or an event or a structure or a process with my eyes closed. That young man, he's not my age. That's a young man. His level of professionalism was superb. Now, of course, in respect to Kevin Allen, his level of professionalism, I don't want to take it for granted. I think flaw of my human behaviors are normalized, and I expect the highest of him because he's part of our team. But quite often, outside of our team, I don't see that. I don't see that all the time. And when I do, it's so fucking refreshing. And so all these concepts that we're introducing you guys to, and concepts you're going to continue to be introduced to, and these principles we're introducing you to, they don't mean anything if you're weak when you show up. And if you're weak when you show up, it's not because you're a bad person or you're stupid. It's not because you don't care. Because often you're weak and you care. It's because you're not exercising certain muscles, psychological muscles. So one, you can be highly aware. We're gonna get into this point in the email because we're gonna roll. But let me say this real quick. It's this story, for historically, it's been said that taxi cabs in New York don't like to pick up black people. I think John Henry Clark, which is one of my favorite scholars of all times, black scholars, said he did a test with his students all the time. Let's stand here. I want you to go call a taxi, see how many pass you up. And like clockwork, they would always pass them up. So so for years, I've been operating under the understanding that taxi cab drivers are showing in New York, are showing characteristics of racism. So let me show you how complex life is. Always remember, your intent is not what people always receive. Always remember that. And always remember, your perception is not always someone's intent. What they discovered was, in Manhattan and these hot areas of New York was attracting some successful people, a lot of successful people who called taxis. And they were making all these short runs, right? A lot of black folks lived in the outer boroughs. So if a black person got in your taxi cab, they pulled you out of you would go way out here, say out to Harlem. But if you went out to Brooklyn or Harlem, the amount of money you would make out there compared to the amount of money you would make over here was hugely different. So a lot of times the reason we would avoid, and then also black folks didn't tip as much as these white folks who were coming in town. So if I'm trying to make money to feed my family and maximize my time on the job, I see a black person standing there and I see a white person up the way, and I'm trying to make my money, I'm going for my money. Now to the black person, it's easy to assume that, no, that's racism. But you can't see the other person's story when the other person is just trying to eat. So in England, taxi cab drivers did something very similar to women who are pregnant. Quite often in a certain neighborhood, women who were pregnant couldn't catch a taxi cab. And the reason for that is because that same neighborhood was known for people who wanted to go to the airport. And a taxi cab driver would make more money taking somebody to the airport and back from the airport back to the main city than they would just be running around small towns. So if they saw you were pregnant and you didn't have a suitcase, quite often they would just drive by you. Now, as a white person, they would be like, what is wrong with the system? But for a black person, it's racism. Meaning that we stop analyzing. Remember I said when you focus on blaming and faulting somebody, there's nothing for you to learn. Right? There's nothing for you to learn. It's almost a naked process. So why did I tell that story? The reason I told that story is this. A lot of times when we're showing up to do certain things, we think we're performing. But we're not aware of how other people are reading us. And that means that we have to increase our awareness and increase our awareness of others so we can understand that when I perform a simple act in my business, how is the customer receiving this experience? Just because you attended one thing and how they responded are extremely different. It can be different, like contrasting in its difference. And so you have to be able to say to yourself, when I perform this job, if I'm catering a company, if I'm providing a service, what is the experience like for the person receiving the experience? Not, this is what I wanted to do. This is why I thought it was great. This was my rationalization. This is what I felt. This is what my friends thought. And at the end of the day, you wonder why your customers are not coming back. You have to align what you want to do and how it will be received. Just because you want to do something doesn't mean I'm going to receive it the same way. If Monty would have showed up, let's go by. If Monty would have showed up and just showed up with the enthusiasm and the desire to do a great job, but didn't understand the mechanics of the impression of psychological how it's going to impact me, Court, Mashama, the guests, the photographers, his partner Kev. No matter how hard, how much desire, how many nights he stayed up, it would have meant nothing. Nothing. Now you feel, and the average person, if it would have meant nothing, and I would have said, yo, Monty, that shit sucked, bro. Oh, you can't recognize all my effort? No, I really can't. Because in the real world, if you produce a bake sale and you stay up all motherfucking night and you're making a dish based upon the way you and your household love that dish, if somebody takes a bite of it and throws it in the garbage and the next 10 customers does the same thing, your effort is of no value. There's a time when the process is the most important. There's a time when the outcome is the most important, right? In this case here, we're at the process stage. If Monty had missed so many possible, it's normal to him. It wasn't like, Michael Jordan don't have to think about dribbling. Those of you who don't play basketball, you have to focus. For him, it's just what he could talk to you and be paying and be at the ATM machine dribbling at the same time, pulling out cash, put it in his pocket, tuck it, and get in his car and dribble all the way to the car, right? For you might have a problem dribbling in a straight line. So for Monty, he was already prepared to show up as a professional and do his damn thing. And it's okay when you first start, you're not a professional. But we got to raise that bar higher, people. Really, really high. And if you say you want to do something, who's the best in the game? Now, how do you beat them? What is it they're missing? But who's the best? Who you measure yourself to? Are you measured to your broken-ass partners? Because remember, the 5 closest friends are defining who you are. Like some of you are sitting in this class and you're struggling taking this information in. Who's your 5 closest friends? Are they talking like this? Now you see why you're struggling, don't you? Because you're spending 3 hours here and then you're spending the rest of the week with that. And then you say, I want my life. See, changing your life means that the first thing for a human brain to change It has to change the environment so the brain has contextual motivations to change the way it thinks. If the environment stays the same and the mind changes, then you stay the same. You will perceive to be different. Just like many times I've worked with people who put together productions and they really thought they was doing something. And I walk in like, what is this shit? And it's because they're stuck in their perception, not the reality of what they're doing.
Yeah, remember the example about the locksmith, where it was two different locksmith scenarios earlier in the year? And you had one who took hella long, but he was sweating and passionate and going hard, and he got water and a big tip and all the shit because he took hours to get it done. And you got the one who came in quick, fast, in a hurry, and there was contention because it was so fast. The distance between getting from where the first one, wait till the fucking thing. The distance between getting from the first example to the second is skill, is getting it done. The good thing about both locksmiths is that they both got it done. So if you are that intro locksmith, the goal is to get the motherfucking thing done. Get it finished. And you work up to that skill set to where you can get to be the 5-minute, 5-second locksmith opener. Now, there's times, for example, in our business where we had fucked up. The customer didn't know we fucked up, and in order to clean up our fuck up, we had to stay till 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then drive 100 miles and hand deliver the shit to the customer's door, so it got there on time. Him not knowing that we was a disaster. And over time, that happened less and less. And now we got couriers to drive it and all kind of shit in today's time. But if you ask the customer experience 2 years ago and the customer experience right now, they won't even know the difference on the surface. Because if you're talking radical responsibility and taking ownership and getting shit done, that's all that matters. Hey, I signed up for this shit. I take responsibility for getting it done. So I don't give a fuck. Like, if my systems aren't in place behind that motherfucking curtain all the way, then we got to figure that out. But the customer's going to get that good experience, period. Because we can't compromise on what's on the other side of that curtain. And that's really the mindset. And I think if we do that as a collective group, then yes, we're going to work harder. And yes, sometimes shit's not going to work exactly how we planned it. But so what? That's what getting better means. That's what getting better skill does for you, and building up your systems and really doing the E-Myth shit. But on the other side of that, when you take responsibility, we might have to chalk up some shit, some time. Like, fuck, I didn't get to spend time with my daughter today. But that's not my customer's issue. So I'm not going to be like, hey, it's 5 o'clock. It's me and daughter time. Bye, customer. And they're pissed because we promised them some time. But the lesson for me is, how can I build my system better so that next time it doesn't happen?
Yeah, and then let me add another thing to that. By the way, thanks, Court. Let me add another thing to that. We're checking in with you this week, so hopefully some people are responding to some of their challenges. We only got one so far. Come on, people. I know we're doing a check-in. Like, you guys, you tell me everybody who's listening to this class is all copacetic and you just good, you flowing, no challenges. Let's get to this mic and let's have a quick conversation, because I don't really want to check in and see what's happening. But also, you got to learn how to figure some shit out. Like, when I'm working on shit, let me explain something to y'all real quick. I'm always running to a land of I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Yo. That's the land. I'm. That is a more of a common place for me than an uncommon place for me.
Yes.
And guess what I do? I go figure it out. Because unfortunately, they can't give you a degree for everything you want to do in life. I'm sorry. You can't. If you move with that speed, by the time you're ready to start your business, you'll be 97 years of age. You got to go figure some shit out. And in order for you to figure some shit out, that means you got to know how to look shit up. You got to become really talented at looking shit up. talent and building relations. Like the difference between 1960s, 70s, and 80s and 90s is when you wanted to do something new, you had to know somebody. I mean, literally be able to pick up a phone, call somebody, or go drive to see somebody, and then that person can put you on. In 2020, you can go find somebody online and even find his competitors and have a conversation. You can go read articles from individuals sharing information. You can watch YouTube on techniques and approach. You can Google some shit. Like you on social media where you can literally, hey, listen, person, appeal to somebody in a certain manner and be put in the game right away. Like, one of the things that blow my mind in this class is there are people, well, okay, the Shabisha said a lot of people came online after we started talking. I'm checking in with you, and in the chat group, please, this 6 months into the class, what's not working for you? What's some challenges you're going through? What are some things that, since you've been in this class, you're like, yo, I heard you, but I don't know if I'm really feeling that one, or yo, it seems like I'm struggling with this. Like, share some of those ideas in the chat group, and then Shabisha, we're going to put some on the table, we're going to have a real conversation. And right now, we're talking ground talk. Like, I've seen people sit in class and go, Nana, you know what Hope should do? I say, what's that? Y'all should have it where we can get together. Okay, fucking get together. That's what entrepreneurs do. They make way where there's no way being exploited. Like, you guys are asking me for permission to go hang out. Asking me for permission to build extensions. Like, if you want to contribute. If you want to, like somebody says, no, you should have it. We could meet other entrepreneurs. Meet the other entrepreneurs. You guys gonna like break ground yourself. Learn new shit yourself. You can't go through life wait for somebody to give you permission to go to the next level. You need to get to the point where you're used to discovery and running into hard walls and then going to the next angle until you find a breakthrough. As opposed to, if it ain't perfect, let me quit. Or I tried that once before and it didn't work. Or I heard you shouldn't even try that kind of shit. So, I'm putting some stuff on the table. Let's just hit a couple of lines on the E-Myth and we'll pause. And hopefully we have enough feedback from folks who are saying, hey, here's some things I just want to talk about that's not working, or sharing, and we could just take a few minutes. Because I'm going to get on some ground level shit like, are you eating? Are you sleeping? Are you exercising? Are you meditating? What mental exercise are you engaging in? Are you studying on your own, or are you only looking at class? How are you approaching this shit? Right? What are you doing with your weekends? Who's your friends? How are you organizing your time? Are you changing your relationship with your kids? Are you too busy for your fucking kids? Like, what are we doing here? Right? Are we who we say we are? Like, we say we this. Is that who we really are? Do you move in the way you want the world to be? Or do you move in a way that your community has trained you to be and you dream of being in a different world? What's your standards like? Do you make hella mistakes all the time? Are you frustrated with yourself? Are you scared?
I do. I make hella mistakes all the time.
Like, holler at us, because it's time to, let's just have a real shit, let's some real talk conversation. I can go high level on you guys. We can stay in the books. But I need to check in because it's about you. It's not about us. See, if I just keep teaching and I don't check in with you, then that's my ego saying, I just want to keep telling y'all what I want to tell y'all, and hopefully y'all get that shit. But I want to check in and see how it's working for you, because maybe we need to build something so we can make sure we can support you. Nobody's going to get shamed in this class. Because whatever you're feeling, I felt everything you're feeling. Everything you're feeling, I felt it. You feel stupid at some point, I felt stupid at some point. I remember I read books before where I read the first 3 chapters and said, I don't know what the fuck they just said, but I know I need to read this book. And I may have read this first 3 chapters maybe 6 to 10 times till it finally makes. You know what would help me make? Okay, no, it wasn't just 6 to 10 times. It might be 6 times plus watching the YouTube videos, plus watching people make comments on that, plus reading small articles on words they use. I was like, what does that fucking word mean? To like even watching YouTube videos on the history of that fucking word and putting that word in context. Then going back and read the book and go, oh, this shit's amazing. I would have never got this. Right? I took time to push myself. But me pushing myself to understand, it raised the level of my knowledge, my understanding, my strategy, my communication, everything. But I can't help you if you acting like Silence of the Lamb, sitting back here as if you got a master plan and you're in your head. Like, look, if you need help, get out your fucking head, because that's too fucking dark. Yeah. Your head will keep you locked in your past. You don't move towards the present. You live to fulfill your past. You see the world through your past. And so if you stay in your head, all you're doing is having old repeated ass conversations. Come out your head and talk. So we'll jump in the email, give you a couple of minutes. And when Shabisha said she got at least 5 people, made some comments online, after I got through saying, what's up, fam? How y'all doing? Then I jumped right into it. So you see 5? Just hit me with the 5. You already got 5? Well, I'd be damned. Okay, black people, let's do this shit there. Well, let's jump into it. Fuck it, we'll hold up on email. So hold up, email. Step on the microphone. Anybody in-house, if you guys want to make some comments or you guys want to say anything or contribute, shit, jump on the motherfucking microphone. Let's do this.
Okay, this first one is, there we go. First one is from Veronica.
Hey, what's up, Veronica?
Veronica Lopez.
Hey, Veronica Lopez. What's up, fam?
What's up, fam?
She said, what I really love about the class is the behavioral part. It's my jam. This is her first year, so she's really soaking it all in and really loving it. Where her struggle is she doesn't always know how to apply everything we're learning to her business. So as a whole, she can't think of exact examples though, but just in general, she's kind of struggling to know where to apply it.
Okay, jump in. So I think the way that this is designed is threefold almost. One fold is it's a entrepreneurial thinking, which means it's going to affect you on a system 2 level, subconscious, meaning it's not a recipe or it's not a prescription per se. You're going to move different. So if it's almost you moving to a different rhythm. So some of that you won't consciously notice unless you really think hard about, man, this was a stimulus. I responded like this. But I remember like 3 years ago, the same stimulus happened and I responded like that. Oh shit. Because now I realize I didn't use perfection mindset. That's from the fucking class. Like those things take in-depth thoughts sometime. Mm-hmm. That's the first piece. So some of that is kind of hard to quantify because shit's gonna get better. And it's gonna feel the same almost. And then some of it are actual tools that as we get deeper into the class, when it comes to branding and marketing and certain strategy, then you'll be able to apply it, especially when it comes to negotiation, things of that nature. It's going to happen. But I want to say, if you feel like, damn, this is dope, I'm digging it, this is fresh, those kind of thoughts, meaning it's seeping down. It's locking in, like you're loving it and then you're like, damn, I didn't even get angry when dude said that. I just asked him a question. And you forget, you ever been around somebody who you influenced them to change their ideas, but they're so like argumentative and shit. And then maybe 8 months later, like, yo, I got this new idea. This is how I'm going to move. And you're like, motherfucker, I gave you that idea. I told you that shit, but they don't even recognize that you told them that. That's kind of what it feels like.
Also, I think another tool, Veronica, you can use in class. By the way, that was perfect analogy. Everything, nothing to add. But also, to another analogy, another point I want to highlight is that when something hits you, Veronica, do us a favor. Post a question like, hey, how can I use that in business? And we can start translating some of these ideas. Because everything we're teaching is, like, for example, I'm reading this master leadership book. And you know what a master leadership book is? Behavior science. How to control your emotions, your feelings, your distortions, how to understand perception, how perception is being altered, how it's being manipulated. It's all behavior science, right? That's pretty much what master leadership is, right? So when we're teaching something, if it doesn't connect, and by the way, Veronica, thank you for asking this question, because every question you're about to throw at us, I want to thank everybody for asking questions or putting their comments and their thoughts in, and because you're really sharing something that is not just you, but is commonly shared. It's just sometimes people can't articulate it, or they're just still dealing with fear. But when you hear something that makes you like, oh, I like that, or that's different, just say, hey, can you show me how that's applied in business? And then you can even make it personal sometimes and say, hey, well, I have this kind of business. How would that apply to this, right? This class will stop for that. I'm here to make folks better. I'm not sacrificing time. Like he said something to me last night. He's like, yo, I'm sacrificing time with my child to help black folks grow, right? And black folks, Latin folks who ride with us, fucking Asian folks even ride with us, right? Like anybody who rides with us, we won't ride with them, right? But we're not here just to preach to you guys or be a lawyer and like argue down points. We're here to support you guys. And so I don't care what we teaching, you guys are that important. Each and every individual in this class is that important to us. And so if you don't see the fit right away, it feels like it's just too out there in the clouds, let's engage in a dialogue and let's ground it for you, because I want to make sure we're there to support you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most of the time that between the two of us, there's an example in business somewhere that can be shared to give you kind of context.
Go ahead, next one.
Next one is from Jasmine. I think she's Jasmine. She's Jasmine, yeah. Mm-hmm. She said, I'm still figuring out how to not overreact when my emotions are high. I noticed that I struggle with decision making too because of my emotions.
So I'm gonna share this. I'm sure Court has. He's been. I think he's giving some. I'm gonna keep him rolling. Let me just share something real fast. Change is persistence, not arrival. You get faster and faster and better of addressing it, keeping it at the top of the mind. So when you go, damn, okay, I missed that one. I'm gonna try to do better next time. 1 to 2 years from now, people are like, how'd you become like that? Mm-hmm. Let the frustration be a motivator to try it again, not as if you're doing something wrong or you're not good enough or you're not qualified. But that frustration, same thing in any kind of development, right? Like if you decide you want to work out, how many of us have worked out really, really hard, went home, got on a scale, or raised our shirt up, look at our stomach, and realize it's the same stomach? You know, and you're like, this feels like I'm not going nowhere, right? But any trainer will tell you, you got to stick with it. And consistency is the reward, not a one-time engagement. So, yes, it can be corrupting it. Now, part two, when you do make the bad decisions in hindsight, never quit and say, oh, I made a bad decision. It's over. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're not getting a grade and then it's going to be passed on to be judged by. When you make a bad decision, don't have a problem picking up the phone going, you know what, I want to change my mind, I'm sorry. Or, hey, customer, listen, I think I approached this totally wrong. You are absolutely right. You're very valuable to me, and this is how I want to change my position, right? But like, or something that's just something more strategic on how you reverse your position, right? Or make it work. But what you don't want to do is shame yourself until it's over. That's the key thing. Mm-hmm. There's always an angle to move forward. So even a bad decision is still an opportunity to move forward, a good decision. Sometimes a bad decision, bad is not always bad. Sometimes bad is a long-term good. Because, you know, if you can create friction with human beings and then remove the friction with human beings, Then for human beings, that was an amazing experience, right? Here's a trick. This is how you get a customer for life. Okay, you want to get rid of a customer for life? Here's a trick. Let a customer walk into your business 5 minutes before close. Say your business closes at 5 o'clock. Customer walks in at 4:55. Let them walk to the store, look at a whole bunch of things, and they get the cash register and say, hey, our deal is closed. That customer's never coming back. Now, let me give you some opposite game. Let's say you close your doors at 4:55, you stand right by the door. And somebody comes in and goes, you guys closed? You'd be like, yeah, but you know what? Come on in. I'll take care of you. Same game. That same person now is a customer for life. You manipulate a situation and you play the trick on the customer. And the customer now feels loyal because they feel like you gave them something. And they're a customer for life. Little game. But,
This
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
because his answer way better than mine.
No.
No, I'm telling you,
It's
killing
a
it.
second thought.
He's Barry Bond. I'm that dude on Giants. I
No,
just swing.
that's not true. Not true.
No, you're doing good, bro. You're doing tight.
I was thinking about this is when it comes to emotional agility, that shit is hard. Period. Ain't no book or class gonna really like erase it from you because you're talking about a spider web full of triggers, anchors, and trauma that's tied to your protection and your ego and your defenses. So that takes time, and you've built hella years to build that up. I've had struggle with that for a lot of my years to where I would have to track my incidents per year. Man, should I had 6 incidents this year? And so over time, I tried different practices to reduce the amount of incidents. Now, when I came in contact with emotional agility and these books, like I used to, like all my meditations and all the shit I had narrowed it down to 1 incident a year where either I had a black eye or somebody else had a black eye. But once I learned emotional agility in these books, then that one incident disappeared because it took away. It gave me more options in how I respond while still giving me my power. And that's all but it takes practice. It takes lots of practice. So don't get down. Just know, look at it from a macro view and say, look, I may have handled this situation in a way where I went 0 to 100 hella quick, but I'm gonna keep playing this game. And so out of the last 10 times I've had to do this, how many did I do well? How many did I fuck up? And just keep playing the game with yourself, and it's gonna get better. But now at least you have the tools.
This next one is from Autumn. And she said, my biggest issue, and probably the root of all my other issues, is not feeling good enough. I'm still working through childhood trauma so I can truly pivot to the next level.
You want to take that one first?
Sure.
Wait, what's about him?
What's
with
up?
my family members.
Yeah, that's again, that's another one that's it's deeply embedded and rooted in our culture for years, starting from slavery, right? So understand that self-love is another practice. So first, scientists say, right? Awareness by itself, psychologists say, awareness by itself can sometimes be curative. That means the smaller percentages. The rest of it, the majority, is you got to practice it. So it's a muscle. So we're saying, here's the exercises, here's the awareness, and then let's exercise this muscle of self-love, self-growth, self-acceptance, self-forgiveness that creeps into forgiving yourself and starting to love yourself. And that takes years. It takes time. So you got to be gentle with yourself. You got to be gentle. But know that now you're on a path. And these strategies will help you be on a path, and hopefully the rest of the year and the workshop and then continuing the class, you'll get there.
Also, I'm gonna add to that. One, examine your surroundings. Make sure that the people around you are reflecting characteristics of self-love And what I mean by self-love is if you have people who are always commenting on other people's negatives and what the other people ain't doing, what's wrong with society and what things should happen, then you don't realize those individuals are agents of self-hatred, right? Two,
Wait, you
self-hatred.
going to two that fast? Say it again.
Huh?
I said, you going to two that fast? Say the first one again. Jesus.
Remember, the 5 closest people to you are extremely impactful of your reality. Quite often, you built those friends when you didn't love yourself. So part of you getting to a new position is you're gonna have to find people who are moving in life in a way. I'm not saying anybody has 100% love for themselves. I think there's times we all can fall in that space, right? It's when it starts to infect most of your decision making, and it drives your spending. When you find yourself trying to spend money to validate yourself, right? And I think for black folks, that is a major, major issue. We talk about self-love. And sometimes self-love, I think one of the things that helped me with my personal journey of self-love is who the fuck am I comparing myself to? I haven't never met a perfect motherfucker. Like,
Tone
sometimes
Vic.
well, Tone is close to a perfect motherfucker. He is pretty close, but I think his voice is a little too deep. Yeah, a little too deep. But point is this: but outside of Tone Vic, I had never met a perfect motherfucker. And in addition to that, sometimes the perfection of other people, I think you should go out and meet your heroes. And you'll be like, oh shit! Like in photography, when I first got into photography, I was hero worshiping other photographers. Oh, that's my hero. This is my hero. And I get to that house, and I get all the pictures that they didn't publish, and I'm like, were you blindfolded this day? Were you high when you shot this picture? And kind of find out, no, they took 1,000 pictures and they posted the one. They can recognize art, but the ability to produce art wasn't that great. And I realized, oh, it ain't a lot of people who can do this. And so sometimes we set these standards of who we should be and what we're supposed to be doing based upon these, like even, I think another thing too, I'm adding a few things to it. Get off social media. Social media will have you fucked up. Because, look, your brain is only designed to see the reality it needs to see and it doesn't see anything else. Most of reality, your brain cannot see. The other day, I was waving to 2 people who were looking straight in my direction. They were less than 10 feet away. I waved. They didn't even see me because they were looking at the person that was 2 feet in front of them. And I was waving. I'm a big dude. I ain't like no little toodaloo. I'm like, hey, see y'all later, right? You know, no, they do that, right? And they didn't see me because their brain said, whatever this person's talking about, nothing else exists. But if somebody was looking on to me walking by, then they're like, how come they didn't say hi to you, man? What's wrong with them? The reality is that your brain only can see so much. So what you choose to put your brain in front of is impacting or feeding an illness or feeding a strength. 1 and 2. Let me add another thing too. Your brain lives in a constant space of delusion. It does. You spend more time thinking than you do paying attention. You spend more time thinking than you do researching and learning. You spend more time thinking than you do touching and observing. So you got to make a decision. What delusion do you want to accept? Do you want to accept the delusion that you're not good enough? Or do you want to accept the delusion that God made you perfect? That's a choice you have to make. Other thing, now let's look at some quick hacks. Next time people get on your nerves, stop yourself from making a comment. Analyze, well, what's their why? Why did they pass me up in their taxi car? What would be their motivators? Start asking that question. What that will do is the same judgment you are passing on others is the same judgment you're perceiving from others. So once you learn to be more compassionate, empathic in your judgment, the better you are going to be with yourself. That's a quick hack. Another quick hack. Whatever you're trying to do, go complete it and go do it. Let that be the thing you hold yourself accountable to. And as you become successful, which you obviously will become, if you do anything long enough, you will become better at it. A lot of times, that will give you a spark to your self-value. But if you're just doing the same old thing in the same old house, wearing the same old clothes, have the same old people, it's going to be hard to change that mind. Last hack. Go inside your house tomorrow. Stand on top of a chair or a table, somewhere you won't fall. You fall, court told you, I didn't tell you that part. Even though it's on record, but, perception.
My insurance only go up to $1,500, so even you only gonna get $1,500.
So, go in your house, lay on the floor, stand on something tall, and look at that house again. You run your own business. Go in your business and go in the weirdest locations and just look at your business. You can really see your house, see your business, and then go change that shit. Change that shit. Because if you're trying to have a new you, you won't change if you don't make the investment. Last point, and I ain't got no more. This is it. Exercise. Get used to the rebirth of a new you.
Church.
You ain't exercising, and you just wallowing in whoever you are,
Church.
and you letting age dictate your beauty,
Church.
I can't help you.
Amen, brother.
So practice loving you.
Hey, I want to jump on hack number 1 for a quick moment. Is that the importance of that is so important because we do a lot of work in our subconscious minds. So if you are always judging other people, making fun of other people, comparing other people, talking shit about other people, talking shit about people's attempts to do shit, belittling people, oh, that ain't shit, or that ain't, like, if you're doing that, the odds of you taking action on your own shit are so low because your subconscious mind is so fucking afraid of trying it for fear of that happening to you. And it puts your survival on it. Your survival depends on that rejection and acceptance in your mind a lot. So if you want to be free and raise your self-value and be comfortable making mistakes, a lot of times we judge ourselves on an A, B, C, D, F, E, F kind of scale, and it's all based on perfection. So if you make a mistake, then shit, I don't love myself anymore. The same way when when we made mistakes, our parents used to chastise us in a way that felt like their love to us was dictated on our perfection. So now they transferred that on us, so we do it to ourselves. But that shit is so unreal, it's such an illusion. Once you have the ability to give grace to others, then that reciprocates back to you. Like, oh shit, well, I just fucked up. Or shit, I'm wrong. That's hella funny. I'm hella wrong right now. Your self-love doesn't dip based on any fucking mistakes. That's the beauty. That's the place you want to be. So that if you walk in a room and everybody's laughing at you because you in last place, you're laughing at yourself too. I know it's hella funny, huh? I don't know shit about this. I don't know nothing. But guess what? Let's play this game. Your self-love doesn't move. So that, I love that first hack. It's dope. I mean, they're all dope, but that one really, it sparked me.
And just know, Autumn, God made you perfect, man. God made us all so, I was watching that show on the human body on Netflix. Man, the human body is fucking amazing. We're all perfect. Sometimes we just take ourselves for granted. And we don't show up to ourselves. Like, God gave us a gift for this human body, right? And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. We gotta fall in love with it ourselves. We gotta practice celebrating it. Like Adam, celebrate yourself. Learn to see, because you know what's so crazy about the human brain? It's another flaw of the human brain. Say you meet somebody who's absolutely amazing. Oh my God, she's amazing, right? Your human brain has the ability to take all those amazing characteristics of your mate and make them normal. Your brain, that's a flaw of the human brain. And over time, you'll start treating that amazing person as if you just got a normal person. I mean, Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce not because he didn't give a fuck about her greatness. Her greatness became normal because he's with her, right? So does your greatness become normal. This is why you have to practice being grateful, which is bringing the value and the context of who you are to the surface. Otherwise, you'll forget your own greatness. Yeah. And so, Adam, you're great, but you don't know how to show up to that. Now, being great doesn't mean that you're elite or you're separate from everybody else. It means you have the right vehicle you need to get to where you want to go.
This next one, that was amazing. And Autumn says, thank you both. And she's shouting and hollering. This one comes from Estelle Woodbury. I think she's also first year. She said, I've been afraid to really step out and try one of my ideas. I like everything to make sense and see a path before stepping out and taking a risk. This weekend, I took a risk, but put something out there and got mostly good feedback. One critique that I could ignore, but instead I accepted it and have been plotting on what to try next.
You want to take that one? I got some stuff to say, but you want to take that one first?
I think it's dope. It's a first step. It's beautiful. Go for it. That's what it's about. Like, that is what it's about. Feedback from trying something. To me, it's the the skydiving effect almost. It's like there's a wall of fear. It's a wall of fear. When you're in that plane, it's comfortable. Even though you're high up, it's familiar, it's comfortable. But it's that wall of fear of trying things when you haven't in your whole life. And it's like you gotta jump, you gotta do it. Once you get out there, you realize, oh shit, it's not that bad. It's like, this is amazing actually. This is wonderful. Matter of fact, I'm seeing things from such a place. Like the theory and application are so far from each other. Like people think, because they praise college so hard, like you're gonna go to 4 years in college and you're gonna go in the working world. So mentally we think college and work is like the next logical step. Not realizing that college is over there and the actual job you went to school for is way fucking down there. It's just they're gonna hire you for it because nobody else is as closer to you in terms of having some type of idea what it is. But the actual doing it, that's what we're here for. That's what that's the music to my ears. Is that, man, I was in this class. I decided to try something. I had an idea and I tried it. And then I got feedback. And there's layers to that too. There's layers to the feedback. Because who gave you the feedback? Who was it? And grains of salt that, it passes through and how to use that feedback. But fuck it. It's beautiful that you try it and you learn, and now that's a Rev 0. Now the next one is going to be a Rev 1 and a Rev 2, to where ultimately at a certain point in time, you keep playing this game, you're going to be eating. You're going to eat.
Now, everything you said was 400 million% correct. Throw a crazy number on there. He'd be like, 400 million? Damn, he's brilliant. But 400 million% correct. But let me add where you want to head to. So, first of all, let me just support his point first. We're in a world where we started to remove friction from our kids. And we think love is tied with removing friction. But the human brain, in order for us to be strong, there's an argument that says we need friction, bumping our head, falling down, cuts and bruises to become strong as adults. And in our adulthood, to become strong in our journeys, we need those same experiences. So That's one of the reasons I've been arguing social justice for so long, is removing the natural training mechanisms of life. Stress is a beautiful thing if it's dealt with correctly. Bullies are a beautiful thing. Women, if you're a man and you're out there trying to pull a mate, or a woman trying to pull a mate, and you receive rejection, that's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. If you go for a business and try to sell an item and somebody says, I don't want that shit, that's a beautiful thing. Because that friction, it will hurt. But it's what's about to make you strong. Mm-hmm. We were talking about Black Lives Matter. I was talking to Scott earlier today about Black Lives Matter, and I said, because we were supposed to interview one of the main sisters from Black Lives Matter. And y'all know I don't like the phrase Black Lives Matter, but then later on, I had to do my research before I met her person to person, and discovered that when she created the phrase, she didn't create it because she was trying to create this big movement called Black Lives Matter. She was just saying it to police officers. Hey, when y'all dealing with black lives, they matter. We ain't got no beefs. Okay, we cool there. What it's grown into is some old social justice shit. But one of my greatest friction points with all this, and I was telling him, what's the name? I was talking to Scott, I said, Scott, Black Lives Matter is going through hell right now where the top leadership is leaving. And they're in there, the local chapters are starting to battle with the central chapters and the higher chapters. And now they're creating another chapter to oversee the other chapters. I said, and guess what? There's nothing wrong with anybody in that system. What? Let's break it down, Nana. Yeah, but they didn't get a chance to have healthy friction. You know what healthy friction is? You start with nothing, and you go through hell. And by the time you get to 9 million, you got $9 million worth of battles. If I give you 9 million without the battles, there's hella things that you did not develop as a person that qualifies you to have 9 million. 9 million, to keep 9 million in your hand and continue to prosper, you have to qualify yourself. Or we say, study to show yourself approved. You have to get to the point where you went through something. So when you get there, it made you into a person that's qualified to carry that journey. If I give you the outcome before you go through the journey, you're not strong enough to take care of it. Mm-hmm. This is why a lot of people who win the lottery lose all the money. This is why a lot of people after they lose all the money, we don't even hear that it's even worse. They can't even get it right from that point on. Matter of fact, if you really want to get an understanding of that mindset, look at child stars. Child stars was gifted success before they even went through any journey. Then you start to pull the money away from them, you misalign them with life itself. So they don't even know how to show up to anything moving forward. This happens to a lot of athletes. So it has to be hard at the beginning. And that discomfort you felt, the reason he said good and clapped his hand, because that process is what's going to mold you. And then when you're sitting in class, when we speak to you, you'll hear something that the person who ain't doing nothing don't hear. And you're going to do something different with that information, and you're going to become something different. And even though you may sit in a room with other human beings, you're on a different frequency, right? But that's because of those experiences you went through, and you walking into your fear. And what is courage? Your ability to walk into your fear. That's what courage is. So what you did was courageous. Now, finish that journey. But where you want to get to, and you can't get there, even I'm going to tell you where you need to get to, I can put the words on it, which is I'm giving you a map of where you want to go. But the brain can imagine itself. The brain is so cold. I'm going to fuck y'all up. You know what? Put your hands on your kids' ears. We're talking about the same brain that can let you masturbate at the thought of somebody being naked. Your brain can alter the chemicals in your body at a thought of a naked person, even though the naked person is not there. So that same brain could imagine you have finished the journey and you ain't even took one step. I just want you to understand where I'm going with this.
We gotta run that back. We gotta run that back.
The same brain, hopefully don't take your hands off the child ear. The same brain that can imagine and bring you to where your blood will rush to your private parts and bring you to a point of ecstasy, just through imagination. It's the same brain that can imagine that you will walk to a point of success and you haven't taken one step.
And that shoulder, that shoulder relax of thinking you accomplished some shit because your brain have taken you there, and I can relax now. That's the problem, because your brain told you arrived at the mountain.
You ain't taking one step.
That shit cold.
So now watch this. Stay with me. Stay with me now. Stay with me. Where you want to go eventually, I'm gonna give you the journey where you want to get there, but I just want to let you know this is where you're gonna go. You want to get to a point that when you sell an item or you don't sell an item, the only thing you're tying your emotions to is the numbers, not the people. I mean, that if somebody say, I give you some good feedback, or they really feel good, or no, what is my numbers? Because the feedback is an illusion. Both sides. Now, can you receive information from both sides? Yes. But if you meet anybody's in business and research, they tell you, even on the negative feedback, what they may say and what they actually may be saying might be two different things. Right? But on the front side, the compliments are also an illusion. Because compliments can have different motivators, and they're not true. And you have to detach yourself from your business so you don't personalize your sales. So if you let's say you walk into the Hell's Angels Hall and you're selling these pro-black dolls, and they're like, we don't want this shit. Well, it might not be that you have a bad product, it's just that you brought your product to the Hell's Angels Hall, and they're more pro-white. So it doesn't translate. So you have to understand that contextually, in order for you to navigate a complex world with different environments, different contexts, different beliefs, different groups, different forms of discrimination. If I'm on a diet, I discriminate against sugar. And if I'm not on a diet, I discriminate against low sugar. Right? So discrimination is part of the game. Right? And so if you're getting into the game, if you allow your emotions and your personalization to get into any of this stuff, this is where you start to fail. This is why sometimes they say, if you sell a product, sell stuff that you don't really care about. You care about what it does in the market. You care about its sales. You care about its growth, but you didn't make it. Like, I didn't make this phone. I'm buying this phone, have this manufacturer. I'm the middleman. I'm selling it to you. So if you say you don't like the phone, I'll be like, hey, Court, can you make a better phone for me? Because this is the complaints I'm getting back from the customers. Or how can we meet those needs? But if you over there tinkering all night long and you miss your baby's graduation and you ain't made love to your partner in 6 years and you go, okay, and then here you go, here's my phone, and you go, I don't want this shit. Do you know what that's gonna feel like to you if you can't make that mental separation? Mm-hmm. And so in business, you gotta be able to separate the service and the product from the personal space. Otherwise, I think what Autumn was highlighting is more normal. It's not just Autumn, which is most black people suffer from not feeling like we're good enough. And so it's easy for us as a people if we don't learn to separate ourselves from our products. And so where you want to get to is when you're selling your products in the future, that the comments and the complaints, they're coming through the system as something that you're analyzing, but you're not personalizing.
This one is from Fern.
Fern.
player. I'm sorry, y'all. Fern just bring out some other.
Fern.
Yeah. Fern be like, what you want, Fern? What you want? You want to holler at the motherfucker, though, Fern? I'm sorry. Fern just be like East Oakland. I'm sorry, y'all. Go ahead.
Fern said, I'm exercising, eating right, fell off a little bit, but I'm coming back. I'm feeling hella good most the time, but struggle with perfectionism at times while trying to make this money tinkering.
Good.
Yeah, let me say this real quick too. There's a slight tweak in there. Your routines is your food. Is your guardrail. Your third rail is your routines.
What do you mean by that?
Life is so chaotic and so many things pulling on you at the same time. Mm-hmm. By the end of the month, you probably don't have a clean pattern. Your routines help you lock on a consistent pattern. You can measure your growth, and you can keep growing and driving yourself by, right? If you break your routine, for example, when I say break your routines, mean like, for example, if I say I'm gonna work out 5 days a week, anybody knows me, I could be on vacation. I could be on vacation. I will say, hey, where's the gym at? Right? Or where's this at? Now, I can give myself permission to break something, or I can work out and say, okay, I work out really, really hard, so when vacation comes, I don't have to work out. But if for some reason I didn't do that, then vacation is workout time. Meaning that what I'm saying is that my patterns don't break. If I say I'm going to the gym 5 days a week, and I miss a day, I will go all the way to 2 o'clock in the morning. Because why? It's not because I'm that crazy about working out. Even though I turned up the heat lately, but that's not what I'm talking about. Because those patterns keep me in a pattern so I can tweak and measure my growth. I can always adjust my patterns. But if I'm sporadic, it's like imagine playing basketball. Those basketball players are moving in a pattern. It may look like, if you don't know anything about basketball, you just see people doing this, up and down the court. You're like, whoa, damn, they just running with different uniforms on. And every once in a while, somebody shoot a jump shot. Every once in a while, somebody dunk. And the center said he shoots jump shots and he dunks. I don't know what the pattern is. There's a pattern. And what a point guard would tell you, if you start breaking the pattern all the time, you're not on that team. You're supposed to be at a certain place at a certain time for every form of play. When the other team does a fast break, you'll see somebody running backwards and he's pointing you there, you here, you, which is, I'm reminding, he's not teaching them. I'm reminding you that's where you're supposed to be. Why the fuck are you out of pattern? Mm-hmm. But when you don't practice patterns in your life and keep a strict, structured, disciplined pattern, I'm not breaking it for nothing. Then what'll happen is that you'll often be playing in a basketball game and you're just running all over the court. And at the end of the day, you'll think, I was on the court, I played hella hard, I did everything, I sweated, I scored 20 points, but you're a losing team because you guys have no pattern. Your pattern is so critical to just self-development, the way you move, even emotional awareness, right? When you're in a pattern, you can start, like for example, when you work out to a certain point, you'll know why you feel the way you feel. You can tap into something deeper than other people can tap into. So quite often, you're fixing shit before it even comes out in a conversation because there's a constant conversation happening on the inside because your body is talking to you on a whole different level because you're on this pattern. Like there's days you'll get up like, okay, today's Thursday. I say I'll go to the gym, but I don't want to fucking go to no gym. And you're going to have a long-ass conversation which is going to familiarize yourself with how you thinking. And you're going to tell yourself, fuck you, dude, I'm going. And your willpower just went up. So all these disciplines and this structure, now if you have to change because you have children are the enemy of patterns, or black swans happen in your life, or deaths, all right? Anything like that can happen. Okay, but what you do is you go to another pattern, and you identify, and you don't fall into the pattern, you decide the pattern. And that sense of control allows you to move through this whole world differently. So I can't begin to tell you, when we say go work out, the patterns that are tied to working out is helping you create patterns on how you create, build, and move through the world.
Yeah. And I'm going to add this, is that the whole purpose of this class is to break down and build you up psychologically, mentally. We want to break down psychological patterns within our culture and add new ones to make you better and stronger and more efficient, more effective as entrepreneurs. That's the goal. And the beauty of working out is that you practice doing that every single day. You break your muscle down, and then you eat, and the next morning you build up stronger than it was the day before. And that's a daily rhythm. So if you're daily doing that to your physical body, and then you're doing it with your mental, and you're meditating, you're working on your spiritual, you're in a constant state of being torn down and built up stronger, torn down and built up stronger. And that A, makes us powerful as fuck, and B, keeps us humble. Keeps us humble because you're used to getting broken down. So if somebody breaks you down in a new thought, you're able to accept it. Or if you got to sit down for a second, you're able to do it. If you're able to humble yourself to the game, because ain't nothing like working out to exhaustion, or like, I'm gonna get 10 of these and you can only get 8, or 7. Or I'm going to run 3 miles and you get 15 steps and you, that's humbling. And you're like, damn, I got work to do. That's the beauty of this shit. That's the beauty of exercise. And it's the same rhythm of exercising your mind. I would add in that routine, make sure you throw that reading in there, because that reading is the same thing. It's breaking down mental patterns that you've already had. Oh shit, oh, that's dope. I'm adding that to my mental software. It's in now, and building yourself back up. You do that, shit. I mean, I was gonna say that's what makes you firm. You're already firm, but I'm saying you know it's gonna keep making you super firm.
It's super firm. That's a new movie coming out. And it's from Oakland. But the point is this. Let me say this real too. You said something that I thought was dope. I want to add to slightly. You know, so I cycle on a bicycle 30 miles twice a week, right? Each time, 30 miles each time. Let me share with you guys where it started. 4 miles and going, dear Jesus, how do people do this shit? When I finally got to 9 miles, I sat on the side of the street and called Shakira and said, come get me. I hit a wall. I can't go no further. This is it. It's over. And out to Cobart, I was 6 or 7 blocks away from the house. There's a natural fear of losing oxygen when you're jogging. I can't breathe. It's a fear that goes along with that. Am I right? There's a fear of, I'm sore, it hurts, I should stop. You know what I'm talking about. All you people go home and get rolled out, call the masseuse up right away, go jumping up baths, salt everything, cold, hot, because you had your first day at the gym, right? We ain't talking about you've been injured because you've overextended the use of that muscle. We're talking about, I went to the last time I worked out, so I went to get some Epsom salt. I'm going to lay up tonight. I'm going to probably get some oils. I'm going to burn a little incense. I'll probably give me a little wine, play a little of my favorite music. I'm going to be here all night. You only worked out for 45 minutes. What the fuck going on? But this is real. Because everybody has a limit of discomfort. So in business, me and you could go out and run across the savannah before we say, okay, this might not make no sense no more. But some people can't even run down their block before they say, I'm gonna go back to work. This is too much. The beautiful thing about working out to the extreme, it helps you develop the exercise. Remember I said exercising your beliefs, the muscles of your beliefs. Moving past your fears. So like when I do the stairs, I fucking hate stairs. It's nothing about stairs I like. Not a fucking thing. Nope, nothing. But I do stairs once a week, and last time I did stairs, I ran as far as I could I had no oxygen. I'm talking about pass out level, right? And I took myself to that point. I used to not be able to do that. But you know why I did that? Because in my mind I said, because I learned to push myself and realize I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be all right. I don't like it. I'm scared. It's uncomfortable. It feels life and death threatening, but I'm going to be all right. The other day, I decided to walk with James as a runner. James can take off right now and run from here to my house, grab a sandwich and make it back. Nana will run to the front and then call Uber. And so I decided I was going to walk with James at his pace. And I didn't tell him, James, you move too motherfucking fast for old night, because he's thin, right? And he got long legs. I'm short and stocky, and it's like I'm climbing hills, he's walking. I went to the top, no oxygen at all, because I'm facing my fears and I'm practicing chasing my fear. I didn't do that because I thought, oh my God, I can't wait to show my lungs next week to everybody. I did that shit because I'm scared of it. I'm uncomfortable. I practiced. This is why working out is such a cool ritual. I'm walking in my discomfort and discovering who I can really become. Well, in business, that's what it's about. That's it. And so if you See, when you had a job, you showed up and you had a reason for being there. Then your ego said, yeah, you here because of this. And you got comfortable. And you just kind of, I'm going to be on this treadmill until, I get older and retire. I'm getting my pay. I'm taking care of my family. And that was really, deep down inside, that was the real hidden story of what was driving you. Well, this entrepreneur game, you're in the wild. You're not a dog no more. You're in the wild.
Hey, I got a funny story. So just remind me of running. So I do the running once a week, either on the lake or Emeryville. So last Emery, I spent $130 on these running shoes, and I got to try them out. I'm like, I'm gonna try them out. Emeryville, the bay by the water. So I go all the way there, and I'm on my way back. And then on my way back, I'm like, what the fuck is that smell? What the fuck is that smell? I don't know what it is, but it's following me. So I looked down and I realized I stepped in some human shit in my brand new shoes.
Oh, boy.
So I'm like, fuck. So I'm trying to like scoot it out and like rub it out in the grass, but that shit is not coming all the way out. And I get to the underpass and it's like hella homeless people. So the homeless dude's looking at me laughing. And so I'm like, I'm getting close to my car. I'm like, I'm not going to bring this shit in my car. So I fucking took my shoes off right there and left them on the sidewalk. Like, take these motherfuckers. These going to be yours. And he's like, yeah, give them to me. I'll wear the shit. And I ran the rest of the way in my socks. But fuck it, that's life.
Hey, at least you can say he's not full of shit. Well, that was it online?
Yes, court stories for the win. Wait, you know what? There's one more.
Okay.
Jordan Johnson. So we've been referring to emotional agility a lot
Yes.
in the conversation.
Yeah.
So Jordan Johnson said, "What is that? And is there a book or something? What are
Yeah,
you talking about?"
we're jumping into it. That's the book that's going to come after. It's one of the next books that we're going to be jumping into, which is emotional agility. And so we'll get into emotional rigidity. And that is, if you haven't experienced it, that I can absolutely understand why you're like, what the hell that is. But it's, there's a need for emotional agility is a form of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is huge. It's a big subject. Matter of fact, emotional intelligence should be taught before any other form of intelligence. But then there's also, I think we're gonna get into this year, I'm gonna add emotional granularity, which is a form of emotional awareness, meaning that what are the different emotions there are? Because the less granular you are, the less control you have. The more granular you are, the more power you have over yourself. Because almost everything you do is driven by emotions. Everything you do is driven by emotions. But it's so funny how we don't learn about it, even though it's impacting most of our decisions. So that will be a focus of this class.
That was it.
All right. We good? Everybody in the house good? Okay, go ahead. And this is a check-in, so I'm giving time for this. I don't give a shit. I want to make sure everybody good. If anybody else got some questions to ask in the house, it's all good.
Hola.
Adios.
Ashley had a question too, but she took it away.
Okay. Adios, amigos.
Why I gotta leave?
Huh?
Why I gotta leave? You just told me bye, friend.
Oh, goodbye. Okay, look here. Veronica, help me with my Spanish. Teach me some shit so I can let them have it. Go ahead. My daughter knows more Spanish than I do.
Okay, so I just want to say I love the fuck out of this class. Like, I think I've missed 3 classes in like all of the years that you guys have done it.
Thank you.
Like, it's literally, my therapist was like, "Oh, can you do class on Wednesday?" I was like, "No, that's my church. It's my entrepreneur class, and I don't miss it. It's my ritual. Don't fuck with Wednesdays."
Thank you.
But one of the things that I struggle with is I do a lot of like what you guys referred to earlier. Like, I am the queen of like checklists. So like I have a very busy schedule, but most of it is because I think it's like a coping mechanism of just like having to create things and like business, mom, whatever. And so I'll find myself like my days ran by my calendar. So I get up and I've got like eat my breakfast and my vitamins, make my coffee, meditate, do this, right? So like I've got all these things that I check off, like spend 30 minutes with Gabby, go to work out for this, do this, right? So everything's checklist. And I'm very intentional about my study habits, like doing my reading, doing my podcast. But what I struggle with most is I will dig into something or read something or a podcast and like really like fall in love with it in the moment. But because it's part of a habit of a checklist, I'll be so submerged in the process during it, and then afterwards it's like it never happened because I'm so focused on completing the next task on my checklist. And so
That's tight.
That's tight.
and it's crazy because like in my job as a trainer, it's like low key like having to be a therapist too, because everybody's coming to you with like all their life problems, and I'm probably like the closest person to most of my clients where like they feel vulnerable and they can talk to me. So I can sit here and give them all this information and quote and cite and all this stuff. But then like when it comes to practicality and putting it into motion in my own life, like it's not that I don't have the knowledge or remember or know where to find it, but when I need to call upon it, like in my time of crisis. So it's just like bloop, 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 like the spinning circle.
That's more normal. That's more normal than you realize.
So that's like something I struggle with, is like switching over from like the task orientation, because the habits are there, the want and the desire is there, but then like I guess the decluttering of my life so that I can like be present enough to like pull on the things that I need to in the moments when I actually need them. Because I find myself reflecting post as opposed to being able to like create space to respond in the moment.
You're dope. Thank you.
Thanks.
That's a dope ass. I mean, I think there's probably a lot of people online and even in this room that feel exactly the same way. So the way you articulated it, you're fucking dope. Everybody's style is different, though. Everybody's style is different. So it's not here's one way and it's going to work for everybody, because they go from being super organized and super checklisty to super fluid, because the goal is to be effective, right? So if it's effective and it works for you, then you got to find a way to wedge in. Okay, so for example, and this is just a suggestion, scheduling practice time. So if you are that type of if that's your rhythm, that's your style, and you come across something that's, whoa, shit, this is dope. When you're working on your schedule, create some time I want to practice this. So practice the new thing I learned from 4:15 to 5:15. That's how it is, because that practice time is necessary, like it's mandatory. So you got to push other shit out. I range from both of those things. I go from being super fucking checklisty to like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to get shit done today and knock shit out. But my priorities are in my head. And then when that gets too loose, I go back to being rigid and in somewhere in between. And whichever side of the pendulum I'm on, then I try to work in that practice rhythm. Even if it's, hey, if this week I'm wilding out, I ain't got no rhythm. So that means when I come across something, okay, stop. I'm practicing it. You gonna be late for some meetings? No, I gotta practice this shit. And I'll call somebody and I'll try to use this shit on them. Hey, let me ask you a question. Have you thought about so-and-so? And I'm asking everybody a question all day, that day. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to get it embedded into my normal rhythms. So I gotta get that practice. And so if it's for you, if it's that important to you, don't let it fall off, because shit, there's a window of time. If you look back at your pattern, like you said it beautifully. Okay, I do this, then this happens. And then if I don't do this, in a window of time where it's gone, cool. You got this much time to embed that in some practice.
That question was simple but layered. It's not simple. Actually, it's a very, 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 very complex and deep question, but let me play with a couple of things, and I think we're gonna have to answer that question out a lot of times throughout the year. I don't think we're gonna be able to answer just in one sitting because that question has a lot of. It's well, like he said, you articulated it so well to a point. I think a lot of people, if there was a thumbs up, you probably got a lot of thumbs up on that question because it was. I think you brought out that hidden thought that we're thinking, but we just quite often don't address. One of the things I realize is that I think one of the things that you have to make sure is that do you have ownership? These are all layers. There's no one. This is a slice down the middle and call it a day. Sometimes there's a better answer for that, and sometimes some questions just got layers, and it just like he says, different angles of how you come at it. So you have an answer that fit this way and an answer that fits that way, right? But one thing I would argue is that you have to understand, you have to take on ownership. And ownership is not what do you do, is contextually when does it fit, when does it not fit. Mm-hmm. Everything is right at some point, everything is wrong at some point. Like, remember I brought the book of Ecclesiastes. It's probably one of my most mysterious but quiet love books in the Bible. Because a lot of people treat the Bible as if Ecclesiastes was never written, which is, he said this, don't do this, do that, don't do this, do that. And then he puts this book right in the middle of the Bible that says, there's a time for everything underneath the sun. There's a time you do it, and there's a time you don't do it. That's ownership, is knowing that. Mm-hmm. Following Proverbs word for word is not ownership, that's checking boxes. Knowing when to apply it and not to apply it. And in order for you to do that, you have to own context. Contextually, when is this right, when is this not? How does it fit here? How does it fit there? How do I adjust it for this? How do I adjust it for that? Like we all know sugar goes in all sweets, all baked goods. But how much you put in each ingredient is different based upon the outcome of what you're trying to produce. But if you just know, okay, sugar goes in all things sweet, and you just make it even pour in everything, some of your products may come out great when others absolutely suck. And so that's why, and why they come out some suck is because you just really just check the box through the whole process, right? That's one thing. Two, you have to gain deep, not even talking about just simple clarity, but deep clarity on what the fuck is this for? Am I living for a story I was told or a belief I have? It's a big difference. Let me talk about something like marriage. How many people you think are victimized by the story of marriage as opposed to how many people happen to be married because they're living for the belief they have in loving someone? It's two big different things. I saw a dude the other day at the stairs. I don't make comments on strangers. If I see a friend I ain't seen in a long time, I ain't about to give you no feedback. I'm just not going to do it. It's too much because I don't feel like arguing. This cat, I know he ain't got that kind of money. He's like, yeah. He did something, and his finger had hella diamonds. I said, is that a wedding ring? Yeah. I said, well, that's your wedding ring. How much was your wife's wedding ring? Oh, $7,000. How much was your wedding ring? About the same amount. So you just met this person, you dropped 14 grand on a ring? Yeah. He's following tradition. I'm not gonna get too deep. I'm gonna stop there because I don't got time for a debate today on relationships. And I don't want this is a relationship class. Question: are you putting $14,000 worth of love into your wife?
You need some water?
I need some water. This ain't gonna be enough water.
It's we can get caught up in the idea. And here's the thing with marriage. When you marry somebody, you ain't got them for life, right? Somebody gonna die first. And what if you live, and when you live longer, they're gone. You break up. You had a good 10-year run. All kind of shit can happen. It could possibly end. That means the time you are together, maximize it. Because tomorrow ain't promised. But in our head, in the story we told, happily ever after. So we take people for granted. We move as if it's always going to be there. I get back to you. I'm busy. I see you in 3 more weeks. Whatever it takes, because I got other things to do, because you're going to be there. If we're not clear on why we're in business, we can find ourselves living for shit that ain't even our own vision. Once you're clear about your vision, it will help you with your ownership. And then let your vision pull you forward, as opposed to you just walking in a strange land hoping you figure out what the vision is. And now you're all over the place. And so when I walk into your business, it doesn't feel like, where's your ownership? Like, if you have a vision, then the way your business looks is so it can get you to here, so it can get you to here, so it can get you to here, because this vision is pulling you forward. But if you have no vision, you're doing everything based upon approvals. And let me say something to you real quick. No one has the right to approve you. God already approved you. So you don't need to seek no approval from anybody. What you're looking for is a successful business that meets people's needs so it can solve your needs. And those two ain't clear, then you're really in the game of approvals. And that shit there will drive a sane man crazy and drive a crazy man crazier. And so you got to get to a point where this is why I'm in this game. This is what's pulling me forward. Because otherwise, you won't even know when it's time to say no. You'll say yeah to more shit, because when you're in an approval game, how people rejection of you hurts more. And where if you're in the I'm being pulled by my vision, I can say no to you because you're taking me off my vision, man. I love you, fam, but this is my vision. And so it's important. Now, this can go a lot longer, because even being pulled by your vision is the discussion in itself. But if I had to go longer, and then last, I don't think you're lost. I think you're on your journey. Because on every journey you get lost. That's just what fucking is, right? If you that's a big picture. Short picture is like, well, short term, I'm not sure. This map ain't working. My phone ain't working. I ain't got no GPS. I think I'm lost. No, just keep walking and keep trying. Eventually, you'll be like, oh, wait a minute, I'm starting to recognize some things. That's where that self-love, I think the things that people are talking about in this class today is so fucking powerful, because I can't believe that it's just you guys. I think you, Autumn, and everybody in between have landed in the perfect spaces, right? But I think there's also a little bit of Autumn in your point. Because when you get lost, you start wondering, am I good enough? Do I know what I'm doing? Is something wrong with me? Let me bring this to your attention. There's not an entrepreneur who has walked this journey who haven't had many days of saying, what the fuck am I doing? So don't ever use that as a self-reflection judgment. Just say, okay, I'm lost. Let me just keep walking. Let me use my tools, and I'll find my way eventually. And even like what Fern said earlier, like, yo, sometimes I fall off. No, you don't. I wanted to correct that too. You don't sometimes fall off. That's how you gain your rhythm. Is you start. Now you're on a roll. So she never fell off. She's in rhythm. But if we only looking at ourselves in short term, we're going good and bad. There's no good and bad in this game. It's persistence. That's the win in this game. Persistence. You stopping is bad. You keep going, it's good.
A couple years ago when I first started, I used to talk a lot about all the money I spent going to them shitty seminars, right? 80% of the stuff I learned in those seminars, trash, right? There were some good things. There were 20%. There was some good shit.
Black people could say that word "trash" is the hardest words ever. He's like, trash.
It was trash. It was trash. But one of the exercises that they did one time is it was a sales seminar, a little sales training thing that was part of this global thing. But after the time they spent teaching us sales, they said this part of the exercise is this: hey, go out in the city, and I need you to come back with something way more valuable than this. It gave us all like a little paper clip or some shit, and whoever comes back with the most valuable thing wins the game. So then 12 people go off in the city in the shopping center going from store to store, mouthpiecing their way up. And you can trade up as many times as you want. Hey, trade a paperclip to a this, to a that, to a that. And so you spent all day doing it. And you bypassed your fear because it was a competition. And you look out, you walk out of a store, and you see 12 other people going in stores. And you're like, fuck. And you see somebody with something. You're like, fuck. And you gives you more motivation. Hey, come here. Hey, how you doing today? I need to, this is God's paperclip. So I just need you to trade something for him. And it developed that muscle. Even if it bypassed the fear, it started developing the muscle. And so when you got back, everybody, the amazement of the shit that people came back in that room with. But it always embedded to me, what you learn is useless if you don't practice. We don't got the luxury because it's online and in here, but mostly online. So you guys have to take it upon yourself to practice. If you learn something new, embedded it in your psychology, is just step number one. The real step is the practice of it. How do I practice the rhythm? How can I partner with somebody that's in the class and we practice on each other? The fun ass time we had at the last retreat, dope as fuck, because all we did was practice. And we was like, all right, I want you to say no when they pitch to you. Like, and all that shit made everybody like,
Kev Allen, so fucking kids.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the beauty of the game, and it locks it in for you. So all the tools you got, like you guys, we're not going to stand there over you. We're not going to be sitting at your house like, hey, yo, did you practice your shit today? And you spitting all this this game don't impress either. That ain't shit either. Well, the cognitive distortion of the priming and the framing, man, fuck that shit. Like, what did you do? And so what did you practice? And that's how you're going to really benefit and win.
And then last question, I'll take it off mic. So we cover so many different things in this class. And it's funny, I was just inviting somebody, another trainer, him and his fiance, dope black couple, really trying to like get grounded in the community. And I invited them to the class, and he was kind of just like asking me like, so what do y'all learn? And I was just like kind of dumbfounded. I was like, honestly, like life, like just how to be like dope human beings, because there's so many. It's not just about like how you run your business or how you make a flyer or what you put on, it's like, it's so much more. And I just like gave him like some examples of just like the types of books we read. And like even Gabby was there. She was like, yeah, this is all the ways my mommy's changed, or these are all the things that I pulled from the class over all these years. And like, it's hella dope because like I like sit back and like go through the Rolodex of all the years of all of the different things, from like how the books changed, how the podcast changed, how the class structure changed, engagement and everything. The one thing that I have a hard time with is like keeping track, or not, I don't know, because again, I'm a list person, so my brain is going to just work different. It's going to work in that way. But just like I'm consuming a new piece of information, or I'm revisiting a piece of information, like how do I not necessarily hold on to it, because I know that information is only relevant for when you need it. Like you can't just like download and absorb and keep it forever. But just like, what do you do once you get all of this information? Because you'll find value in it in different times and different parts of your journey. So like, I'll take it offline, but if y'all could speak to that.
That's another good one. Okay, a couple of things. A hard concept for our brain to adopt is absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. So we live our life as if we need no insurance, as if shit ain't gonna happen. And then when it happens, we wanna address it as if, well, where's my tools now? Your tools is what you do when you're offline, not when you're in a crisis. Decision making is not about making, it's not about having the right tool at the right time to make the right decision. It's about the knowledge of how to make tools work at any time to make the right decision. When you're in this class, I think that's why the word class doesn't fit, in all fairness to you. I think it's more like a mental gym where you're constantly training to become better, stronger, smarter, more efficient in decision making. And decision making in business, like I want to, I think at the end of the year, I'm gonna recommend one of these master leadership books I read. They're not teaching you how the equation of making a decision, because your brain can't do that. That's not how it works, because it's real time. Just like I was telling the court, when you're on the basketball court and you leap to make a dunk, there's an equation for that. No one does the equation, right? We practice over and over and over, and our brain does a complex process, but no one actually sits down and writes out the long math equation on measuring a jump. But you practice it over and over, so when somebody passes you the basketball and you see an open spot to the dunk, you take off and you jump, and you are successful at making your dunk, right? Well, why am I saying this? When you learn new stuff in this class, you're not going to absorb it all. Stop trying, like, okay, this class is a one-time, 1 year, and we only show the video one time, and then we're going to delete it, and that's it. Then I think that's a proper pressure. But I think in our mind, we're treating it that way. Not only is this class going to be repeated again next year, deeper dives and even broader reaches, or even more, or higher reaches, it's a continuum. In addition to being a continuum, we have old video. Now, why is this all important? And we have podcasts that say what we say differently. And we repeat a lot of stuff over and over and over, but from different angles and showing how it's applied different ways. Why is that necessary? Because these ideas, even though you're exposed to them, it takes time for you to keep hearing them over sometimes, for you to digest them. Because a lot of times when you hear these ideas, you're trying to tie it into your old way of thinking, and then you corrupt the idea, right? And so what has to happen is, like he said, you have to kill the old idea to let the new idea live. Otherwise, you're choking it with your weeds of your old idea. So in that process, once you understand the idea, quite often as an entrepreneur, you'll lose the words. It becomes like a cue, a natural cue in you. So if I show you this, you automatically have this response as opposed to you used to have that response. You may forget the philosophy that drove it, but when the philosophy was rich in your mind, that might be the theme of for 3 weeks. That's all you talked about. It's like, did you guys know this principle? Did you guys know this principle? Did you guys know this principle? And everybody you run across is like, okay, all right, we heard enough. And you're driving that principle. But then when the principle starts to infect and alter a lot of your beliefs, and then those beliefs starts to adjust to this new principle, the principle no longer has as much value. It might even sound cliche to you after a while. It might even sound simple. But you don't realize that's the growth. The idea of learning in this class and just getting it is an illusion. It doesn't exist anywhere, across the board. There's no such thing as a class that can perform like that. There's no class. You go to Harvard, it's already proven. You don't go to Harvard, get a degree, and be that same person 10 years later. If you're not practicing that field, you lose that skill. So a lot of things being taught in this class is almost a necessary must, because it's like, imagine if I went to your gym and everybody already had my body and everybody's already working at my maximum level, or they're only working on this a little bit better than me. That means I'd be done with your class in about 3 months. What keeps me driving, going, shit, you could do that many? I just can imagine when I get to that point, is that it runs at a high level. So this class has to run at a high level to pull you forward. Next, I think we need to separate tactical business from business. Writing a check is a tactic, right? But the mindset to write that check and how much I'm about to pay this person and how I feel about it and how much I'm going to give that person and what I expect to receive from that person is all psychological. And that same psychology is tied to the same psychology I'm going to have when I go home and talk to my family, what TV show I'm going to watch, what food I'm going to eat, who I'm going to sleep with, what I'm going to do for fun time, boring time, my depression, my happiness. It's all the same cycle. So that when you say it's a life class, you're correct, but life is business, business is life. And when we make that separation, we're undermining our business. To be mindful and to be top leadership is being aware of all your emotional feelings and how you're showing up to everything in life. Every conversation is a business conversation. Let me say this again. Every conversation is directly tied to a business conversation. When you read the elite top books, these books I say I've been reading for scaling, they're just teaching me how to be a different person. Because at the end of the day, you don't get the chance to be a different version of you. You can fake the version of you, but you're going to still make the best decisions. It's like you can dress up like a boxer, get built like a boxer, exercise like a boxer, but when you get in the ring and that first punch is thrown your way, you're going to act like the same person you were before you start practicing. You already running to the ground, tackling the legs, biting. What the fuck are you doing? Because guess what? You're not a boxer yet. So who you are is what you're going to show up in that ring as. And if you're not practicing at all times to be that person, learn to see differently, think differently, process differently, analyze differently, understand the dynamics of boxing differently, then when you're in that fight, you're going to perform the way you always do when you're under duress. And the reality is that business is not an act of comfort, relaxation. What's the best decision to make? What is easy? How do you approach that? None of that shit applies. It's stress, scared, fear. Damn, I feel stupid. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, shit. What if I lose? Oh, goddamn, this could lose it. That's what business is. And so who you really are, as opposed to who you think you are, and what this class does is it removes a lot of the illusions of business.
Dimples.
I guess she does have big dimples, huh? Oh,
Her
Lord.
dimple game is crazy.
So this is me jumping out of the plane.
Right on.
My normal me, my plan. Oh, sorry. My plan was to sit in the back, just use this year to absorb. That's what I always do.
Yeah.
And then I go into a situation where I don't trust what I already know. So I'll come back and I'll get more information, and that's my pattern. And so I ran into a situation at work. I was going for a promotion, and I didn't get it. So I went to one of the people who did the interview, and I asked what I can do better next time. And his response was, it's hard to teach someone to get over their nervousness. And I knew, when I walked out of the interview, I felt that might have came through. So this is my attempt to practice getting outside of myself, because self-worth is an issue for me as well, as I've heard other people, someone else say. So this is my attempt to get out of that. But my question is, I work in an arena where mistakes are not allowed. And when you make them, everybody knows about them, and you become topic of conversation around the job. So it makes you nervous to make mistakes. So I'm already a perfectionist, and now I'm in a situation where I'm constantly second-guessing myself or going over what I've already done just so I won't make mistakes. So in a situation like that, what would be your advice?
First of all, do you know why they are the way they are? Why mistakes? Why that whole energy exists?
Well, they use safety as the reason for that.
But can you imagine owning that business and you were the head? What would be your reason if you were the head person?
I wouldn't want any liabilities on my head, that's for sure. And I wouldn't, and because I'm aware of all the safety and the things that can happen is the reason I'm super vigilant about following rules and paying attention to what I'm doing and going over things and second guessing myself, But I know what I know, but I'll still go into a situation questioning myself.
So, a couple of things. One is that if you were in the 4 days on the conveyor belt making vehicles, or like when you were on on the conveyor belt of chips. Those jobs are hard on people, human beings, because they're not natural. They're just not natural. And they can have psychological impact, not unrepairable. They're repairable psychological, but psychological impact. Because at the end of the day, the cost of mistakes could be so huge that if they were to allow a little bit of flexibility, half the staff would lose their job tomorrow because of the cost of doing business. So, and mind you, when mistakes are that dangerous, you can almost guarantee within 10 to 20 years that job will be outsourced to technology because they can't afford it. Just the cost of the mistakes is just too high. If you go to the history of trains, period, and you look at the history of America and trains, America has a lot of trauma with trains. There's been some huge deaths. Huge deaths. I'm talking about crazy deaths when it comes to trains. Because you got a moving bullet going through at a certain speed, moving through a town heavily populated with people, and as well as people on the train, as well as people that can engage with the tracks of the train. There's just so many variables there that are insane that can begin to imagine. The reason I asked that question wasn't because I'm not testing you. Shit, I ain't gonna pay you. So you could have got an F. You could have got an A, and I'd be like, got an F. I'm like, that's what I can do for you. But what I was trying to see if you had a deep enough awareness to help you split your personality. When you're there, if that's a game you playing, you got to see it as a game I'm playing for now, but you can't see it as part of who you are.
Okay.
If you start to make it personal, like, okay, for example, you got to go to a point of you don't work for that company, you work with that company. I know it's a slight words, but huge and difference in thought.
Yeah.
For, meaning I now have the power to define you. I can pull you into an interview and say, you know, you're not happy enough. And I'd be like, I'm not a happy person.
Yeah.
When I work with you, I say, you're not a happy person. I'd be like, well, let me put that in context. Is it because when I'm in your environment, I'm not happy enough? So maybe in this environment, I need to work on my happiness. But me as a person, I'm amazing. Right? That allows you to create that split so then you can start working on you and working on where you want to go. Like you're doing right now, which is amazing, by the way, and hella dope that you came to the microphone, especially when you put it in context, right? But I don't know if we can strip away the economic requirements of that environment, because it's an economic requirement. And a lot of people, it's hurting not just you, it's hurting a lot of people, because that's why everybody's gossiping. Because most people deal with self-hatred. Most people don't love themselves enough. I mean, that's just so common. Once we understand the psychological challenges we deal with society, it adds a whole new layer of what is society. But if you're navigating that, you're going to have to kind of rise above the mentality and then accept your obedience to this idea until you can move on. So if I say, okay, for example, let's say when I used to do weddings after a while was hard for me because 90% of the weddings I did was bullshit. I knew they was going to be divorced within 1 or 2 years. But I knew I had to sit here and watch this fake-ass ritual with fake-ass emotions and with real gifts and real money. And I was getting a real check, by the way, and I had to take some real pictures and do some real work. Apply to this fake-ass shit. But I can't do that. At the end of the day, at that point in my business, each wedding was anywhere between $4,000 to $8,000. So if I did 4 weddings in 1 month, you understand, it was kind of, you understand me, I was talking a little different. East Oakland came, how you feel me? I don't need none of that shit from y'all. But let me say this. I had to separate myself from the experience. So when I was there, I was able to give myself 100% to that bride and that groom. Right? I had to remove how I psychologically felt about the situation. I had to say to myself, okay, I feel the way I feel, but this is what they need. And so I'm going to show up to this and be obedient to this. So I would tell the bride, hey, just smile. Don't worry about it. He loves you. Hey, brother, don't worry. You're going to get through this. Hey, we're a team. We're going to work together. And people say, man, that was the most amazing experience I ever had as you, a photographer for my wedding. Because not only were we taking pictures, but you were part of my psychological coaching through the whole process. Now, when the wedding was over, what do you think about the wedding? I get home, my wife, what do you think about the wedding? Well, that was some weak-ass shit. I got through with it, did it, though. You will come out. Literally, it was a separation. Yeah. I'm saying we have that beautiful gift because of our psychology to create that separation. And in this case, you have to separate this case because that is a toxic environment. It's not a safe environment.
it's
If you ever build your own environment, you want to encourage mistakes because the other side of mistakes is create. Look, Steph Curry, greatest shooter we've ever seen. But when he does 6, 7 turnovers in a game, if you're a coach, you better not jam him up. Because that same turnover mindset is the same mindset that allows him to take them threes that change the whole fucking game, that makes your team a super team. And so creativity is required for you to explore a new level of greatness. And that's what you have a hunger for. And let that hunger thrive until it pulls you out of that environment. But make sure you don't let that environment become you and accept that that man or woman who hired you to be in that environment, they do have a good motivation. And yet it is toxic because some of the people who are operating it don't own the story. So they're just looking at it as, oh, they're the boss. They're trying to control us. Oh, my God, we down here doing the work. They don't respect us. They don't see what we're going through and blah, 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 blah. That's a typical conversation, right? Yeah. And honestly, the people down here never can see the people up here. And I can almost say the people up here don't really see the people down here, right? That's the nature of big organizations. Don't get caught in that silliness. That's wasting your fucking mental time. Like literally, when you're there, show up, hit that job, do what you got to do, whatever. But say to yourself, that's because that's the cautious environment. But me as a person, when you get in your free time, do creative shit. Do adventurous shit. Do explore, just break some fucking rules.
Okay.
But don't be if I come to your house and everything's straight, I might just start knocking shit over just because. Because simple fact, you need to loosen the fuck up. Because at the end of the day, you got to be able to separate your job from your home. And this last thing. I'm sure Court is like on the sideline.
Yeah, but you killing it though. So
no, because I'm about to slap you like we're the wrestling
killing
match,
it,
like,
bro.
Because she's gonna hold me down. You got to just come across the room. Like,
Shit.
But the point is this. So here's another thing too. This is the last thing. Be careful how you define yourself. This is something I see a lot of black people do, especially my sisters who are killing it. Because black women, y'all killing it. Latin women, y'all killing it too. Don't think I don't see y'all too.
I was gonna say something, but I'm not because I remember the last time.
What, you compliment the Latin women?
Yeah, you put 2 on a 10 about it. He's like Latin women. Shout out to the Latin.
I love Latin women. They in my life here deep beyond fighting media. It was Latino woman is killing it in my life.
Absolutely.
Shit, if it wasn't for them, a lot of shit would fall apart. My child is being raised by a Latin woman. Shit.
Shout out to them.
You know why? Because we're a super, super black class and they ride with us and I love them.
Absolutely.
I love them. So, what? What are you going to say?
No, never mind. Roll it, rewind the tapes. Never mind. Go ahead.
I'm doing shout outs to her. I love my Latin women.
Absolutely. Me too. Me too.
By the way, you know what's so funny about the racial dynamics? Side note, I'm coming back to this point. Racial dynamics, seriously, serious point. Based upon, we're more closer in similarities human beings in America to economic class than we are to race.
Absolutely.
Like that's why the Latino community and black folks at a certain economic level, we all can see each other and we understand each other. We may have different approaches, different cultures, but because of our conditions and what we have access to, it shapes a lot of our life. And it's just like if you go to a rich black family and hang out with them and go to a poor black family, they don't even talk to
You don't even see each other at
They
all.
can't even translate each other. And so I think black is important, but also class is important. And then two, be strictly honest, like I'm in the art world. I realize too, I realize we talk about race as if we're conservatives. I'm an artist. Do you know in the art world, everything exists? Everything exists in the art world. Everything. I've had from transgender women to Asian conservatives to white artists to white conservatives. Everything worked in my environment. So we don't see race the same way. It's like if you perform, you're cool. If you don't, I ain't fucking with you, right? I mean, like
best person for the job.
Like Josh, who's our Jewish family, we tell jokes all the time about, even though he's culturally super aware of Jewish, black, and even white culture, right? He's very culturally educated.
Josh is an asshole, man. Fuck that.
But
I'm not gonna.
but Josh is not seen as Jewish Josh. Josh is seen as family because in the creative world, that's how we move, right? We don't really, it's in conservative corporate world where people are like, oh, you're this, this is the other. Now, if you don't fuck with us, we don't fuck with you. But like this Asian hate thing, which I've learned, I'm trying to learn more about it so I can process it, what they're talking about. But because I know there's always been Asian hate from white folks. But anyway, but in black culture, we always fuck with the Asian community. And Asians, in many of our, we have Asian folks in many of our circles who are really our family members, or like we call them family friends, right? Whether they're, and Asian is a big ass word, just like Spanish is a big ass word. I don't know what the fuck that means, right? But like say, our Latin is even a fucking big word, right? But in the cultures that we've gotten comfortable calling Asian, even though I think that word is inappropriate because it's just such a fucking white ass range. It's like everybody that's not white will feel like you're saying, are people of color? Fucking phrase, stupid ass phrase. Anyway, we're cool with Asian folks that grew up in the community, went to school with us, and not because we're trying to be politically correct or accept people. That's just not how we roll. It's like, we cool because you cool. We like you because you like you. We loyal to you if you're loyal to us. If you don't fuck with us, we don't fuck with you. It's just that simple. You know, and so I this new social justice and black folks trying to figure out how we have a conversation amongst ourselves. I don't know how to have a conversation because I don't really have that space of discrimination. So Latin men and women have always been, Latino folks have always been in my life, male and female.
Me too.
And it's never been a thing.
Never.
But I think when you say all black class and it's social justice, people don't know if that means they're not being seen. And it's like, nah, we see you, because really this class is not, we say it's a black entrepreneur class, but it applies to everybody within this class. Like we can have a room full of white folks and they'd be like, oh shit, which by the way, we have white folks in this class. We can have a group of Asian folks, because these principles are not, if you guys know the podcast we listen to, the books, and I'm never going to be apologetic about being super black. I'm 100%, I'm not a multiculturalism type dude. Like everything's everything. And I think that every culture deserves its own time to be recognized and be acknowledged and the value of it. But I didn't want these sisters who are right with us strong. And we keep, we always saying black, 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 black. And I want them to know that I see them, I know they're there, and I'm thinking about them the same way. And when Tone and Charlize, by the way, shout out to them too for their end of the year discussion group. Sometimes I get a chance to watch it later, maybe 2 episodes. I'm way behind, but I see what they're saying, how they're showing up, and I want to make sure I'm trying to figure out how can I show up for them just as well. So when I say that, it's my quick way of saying, "What's up? I see you," but I never take time to say how I see you and why I see you and why you're valuable to me. And like I said, the woman who's raising my daughter is a Mexican woman, and the word nanny is uncomfortable for me to use because she's fucking family. She's in the house capping with us, telling jokes with us, hanging out on the weekends with us. We're gonna go out to Mexico to her wedding with her. Like we ride with her, right? We're not like, oh, you're the nanny and you just stay over there and keep that clean and take care of my daughter and we'll see you. It's like, yo, what's up, family? Where you at, right? So it's not like that, even though I know everybody in Mexico don't fuck with black folks, right? But I don't give a fuck because I don't know everybody. I ain't trying to fuck with everybody anyway. And here's another thing too. I learned nothing about being in business. People don't have to like you to buy your motherfucking products. Look, people can dislike your ass all day long and still buy your products.
Amen,
Now, let me
brother.
switch back to where I was going. So what I was saying was this, because you thought I forgot, but I didn't forget nothing. This is something that this is a caution to the wind. Black people, all human beings have a desire for power. We have a love and hunger for power. We tie our personal value to power. So a lot of times, how does a human being acquire power? One of the most popular ways and most impressionable ways that we acquire power is through titles. Mm-hmm. You are, I graduated from, I achieve, I know, I am. And if somebody threatens that, quite often you feel as a human being, they threaten your existence. If you start announcing the title they gave you, this is something you have to divorce yourself from. Whatever title you have, no matter whatever rank you are, if you start seeing yourself tied to that title, you're losing yourself. And once you start to do that, you can't make that separation from that space. You got to be able to say, when I'm in this environment, okay, call me that title, cool. When I'm leave out of here, what is my name? Who am I? Then that's who I am. But I am not the director of PG&E. I'm not the director of East Bay Mud. I'm not the director of Google. If you call yourself that, it will seep into your life, your household, the sense of how you feel about yourself. And then when you try to make that separation, you can't. Because now your identity and your power is tied to a title that somebody else gave you.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
I mean, that was so well said. I'm gonna add this is because only reason why I'm even gonna speak is because I've been in your shoes. I've had to do that, and where your performance and your mistakes and your errors are based around deaths and human lives, then you gotta play that game. Mm-hmm. When the board on the wall is saying how many people died this year, based on our performance and our level of excellence and perfection, we got to play the game.
Right.
So in our world, similar to your world, is if we fucked up, is people could die, people's fingers can get chopped off, or we lose millions of dollars. So the level of perfectionism, like the default mindset is perfectionism. Like if you would have told me that when I was 20, when I had that, it would have saved me hella time. Because it took me a while to unprogram myself from that perfection mindset. Mm-hmm. Even though, like in the midst of it, I learned to make it a game. Like make it a game of excellence. One, make it a game. This shit is a game. You are a black woman who lives at this address, who enjoys this and does it. That is your job. So you walk into that job and you perform those tasks at a certain level that's acceptable for your company. But that separation shit is real. Now, but when you get there, and I used to play this game with myself too, is when it's in game or when you perform in the actual task, yeah, it ain't no mistakes. But when you double and triple check yourself, do you ever find errors in a triple check before you actually press that button, whatever that button is?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. That's the beauty. I used to do the same. Mm-hmm. So you actually do the task in your mind, in your checklist, mm-hmm. and then oh shit, I missed this. Mm-hmm. God, I'm glad I did that. Mm-hmm. So keep that practice. Keep that is your practice. That is our mistakes. So actually, you are allowed to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. But it's just not in the final version. So make them fucking mistakes. But, how many ever times you need to practice it, and I will find how many times I needed to go over it before I pressed the button, and it was usually 2. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go over this. Oh, I found this one mistake. Okay. My brain says, all right, you ready? You found that one mistake. Nope. We do it one more time. And I do it one more time. Shit, I found the second one. All right, cool. Boom. And they're like, oh, Courtney, you went 600 days without any mistakes. No, I made hella mistakes. You just don't know it.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is what you're doing here is beautiful, but keep practicing it. Don't let this be it. When I met this brother, when we was going on them Seattle trips, I don't like talking to strangers. I don't like talking to people I don't know. Fuck them. And I have this thing in my head about being judged anyway. So I countered that with being like, fuck you. I want to talk to you anyway. But as an entrepreneur, that don't work. So I had to push myself out there to be like, hey, how are you doing today? What is your name? And then
He did a really good job.
Until it got comfortable. So now when I got back to the town or whatever, I wasn't as comfortable in Seattle because it's a new place. Nobody knows me, but I was a little bit better. And then the next Seattle trip I did, and I was a little bit better. I'm still not there. I'm still got hella to go, but keep doing it. Keep talking, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations where you got to talk to people. And what you're doing is you're prepping for the next interview. That shit's going to happen again next year or whenever. So practice from now until then. Then you walk in that motherfucker like, what's happening? Okay.
Yeah, you know, it's so funny, like when you, also the level you at, so for 2 months or 3 months I worked at UPS, but I didn't do what everybody else did at UPS. I went to the technology side. Man, that job was so laid back. Everybody else had to be there a certain time, punch a clock, shave beard, mustache. They gave me a pager, or back in the day they had a paging system, and they just sent me home and said, well, we paid you, come on in. I would go in, I promise you, 2 to 3 hours a week and get paid for 40 hours a week. The only reason I left the job was because when I saw the way he was treating black folks, I was like, I can't be here because I'm going to become the most militant person in the world who ain't on the floor. But it was just like, and my whole life when I was in corporate America, I always found jobs where the position fit my lifestyle. So part of your motivation, if you just, for whatever reason, life doesn't permit you to move on, then learn to find a position that allows you to be 100% you in those environments. But that was also, I want to say, that was your analogy. Didn't even see that. That was tight. That was it.
Thank you.
Any more? That's it online. Should be sure that tomorrow was. Danielle had one. Okay, Danielle, the queen. Okay, hold on a second. Can we change the lights or something? Because the queen is gonna speak. Can we get some sparkles and stuff like that? And Ashley, you have some questions you want to ask, or you gonna just be GQ back there? GQ. Go ahead. Okay, GQ and Ashley, why don't you just sit in the chair and get ready for the next question?
Okay, let's see.
Huh?
Right.
We're not doing it. We're not gonna do this.
So Danielle said, I've come to a much better space with the class, learning and engaging the material. I just have an issue with patience. My readiness is on 10. I want to do it all now, but I know I got to work on that. Ready to implement, ready to grow, ready to step up, ready to practice, but the patience needs a lot of work.
You want to start first? You want to take it? Go ahead.
Join our club. I'm you know, that's a pervading feeling that's going to always occur because you want the results to happen, right? But I think if we go back to like sometimes that's a default in our head. It's a default in our mind because we want results, especially in today's society. It's a quick now microwave kind of society, but it goes back to the running thing, like or losing weight or getting in shape. We want it. We want it today. We want it now. But if we fall back into the mindset of falling in love with that journey, like then it allows you to relax a little bit and be like, okay, let me get back to the journey of this, because when like now I talk about if somebody gave you $8 million and you didn't work up to it, you didn't go through the steps of the $8 million, then that $8 million is gone. Versus someone who earned $8 million, or maybe they had quantum leaps in their growth, but they still have growth, then you know what to do. You know how to handle certain situations. You know how to respond in certain ways with that $8 million. So understand, once you really fall in love with the fact that the practice and the growth and the going after it and the learning and all that stuff is what solidifies your win, then you'll be more comfortable in those spaces. Like shit, this rep on a Tuesday, going to the gym when I'm tired as fuck, even though I don't want to, and I'm not seeing results, and I just got on the scale after working out a week, and the scale went up, and I know I ate better, and I know I hit the gym. Fuck this shit. But still doing it is embedding, it's installing grooves in your mind and your subconscious and every part of your body that like 6 years from now, 2 years from now, is just going to be automatic and it's going to flow and things are going to occur to make it look like you just a magician out there not realizing you've embedded this in your system from all that work.
Let me add one side note to that. Here's a psychological trick. When you find yourself impatient with people, that same system of how you're judging others is how you're judging yourself. It's just no such thing as I'm really impatient with others, but I'm patient with myself. That means you run a hard system. And you run a system that increases failure for self. So one of the things you can do is don't let the voice in your head have a conversation with you when you hit the point of frustration or impatience. Because it's easy to start, like the word racist, how we do it as black folks. That's racist. Do you know what the why was the person who did what they did? If you don't know their why, you have no context. So the meaning maker machine, which assigns meaning to something, has assigned a meaning to something which only hurts you. Next time you experience that point of impatience, this is going to be really small and really granular, but I got to do it this way because it's that serious for us as black people. Stop and work on your breathing first. Because if you don't work on your breathing, the voice is going to take over. So go through a process where you just count to 4, take a breath in, count to 4, release the breath out. Count to 4, take the breath in, count to 4, and to the point you feel like you gain control of the conversation. Then pick up the phone and call the person and say, hey, what happened? And as you start to hear the whys, let's say the why is a bad why, at least you can now work on it and you feel satisfied on the inside. But as you hear the whys, you start to see the human and you start to see the similarity of other people around you. You start to see how the world in our mind is perfect, but the real world is very imperfect. Like as you sit in this room, it may feel perfect if you're sitting here watching me in court right now in this space. But if you turn down that perfection energy, you'll see all the cracks, holes, dirt, spots, and stains that are hidden to the eye that's in everywhere you go. But your brain will only see it as perfect based upon your emotional state of mind, which is your emotional state of mind is your priming, how you prime. And your priming controls what you perceive. So your frustration is based upon what you perceive. In order for you to break what you perceive, you have to question what you perceive. But in order to question it correctly and not question it as a lawyer or a preacher. So what I mean by a lawyer, you go to, well, if you do this, this means you did that. So what are you saying? Preachers, this is what you need to do if you're trying to do something with your life. But you're going to show up as an empathic person who's just curious. But you got to get yourself in the right space to show up to that. Now, if the breathing's not working because it's really gotten to you, just wait a little while, it'll go away, it'll subside. But do not, when it subsides, do never leave it, don't bury the issue. See, I know sometimes, going back to what we just heard earlier, we get uncomfortable putting ourselves out there. So we'll bury something because we don't want to talk about it. So something happens like, you know what, I don't want to talk about it. I see you. I see you, Shabisha. You were hella late, but okay, whatever. Josh, Shabisha was hella late. You're going to piss me off. Don't say shit. You're Jewish. So, but let's say I go to Josh, I say, Josh, Shabisha was hella late. Josh is like, yeah, that was fucked up. He's added to my meeting machine. So now I'm feeling some kind of way, but I'm going to continue to work with you every day. Now, if I ask you 6 months from now, it's lost. Context is lost. But if I wouldn't have went to Josh and calmed myself down and said, Shabisha, hey, look, it was supposed to be at 3:30. What happened? I thought it was 4:30. Well, why did you think that? Something happened to my schedule. Okay. Now I'm looking for a pattern. Now, if it's not a pattern, it happened one time, it's dead. If it happens all the time, Shabisha, what's going on with you? Why is that a pattern? Let's sit down, let's talk about it. Because here's the thing. Going back to Autumn. Not loving yourself is built on the idea that there is a perfect Avenger, superhero style person. When you love yourself, you see all the people around you. At some point, everybody around you stink. Hey, go take a shit right now. You stink. Right? But in your mind, you can't see that. I can't look at Ashley right now. I can't tell she stink. But at some point, when you love yourself, she has to stink at some point. She just has to. It's not possible.
I heard women don't stink.
No, they
They
stink.
smell like roses.
Man, look here. You ain't young enough. They stink. you with these older, refined women. Them young women, some women, they stink. Anyway, but everybody stink. Everybody got mistakes. Everybody's flawed. So once you realize you live in a flawed world that stinks, all you're trying to do is make it work, not make it perfect. And so when you're trying to make it work, you realize you have to work with a whole bunch of imperfect people, including yourself, to sometimes produce something that is perceived to be perfect, but not even perfect. So once you realize you are actually walking in a river of imperfection, surrounded by trees of imperfection, and you are dressed in imperfection, only designed by imperfection, then you're holding yourself to standard. Then at that point, your standards of who you are becomes normal, and how you see other people, they become more and more normal. I remember when I first started this class, I was like, man, this person's always asking dumbass questions. Oh, God. That was me. That had nothing to do with that person. That person was asking the most normal questions in the universe. The problem was I had this false sense of who I was, not realizing that on a given Sunday when I'm under stress, I could be that person. And once I realized who I really was and how people really moved around me, then I realized my job is how do I move imperfection, including myself. And then that allowed me to be more compassionate, more loving, more relatable. I can see myself in you, you see yourself in me. So now my judgment comes down, right? Now, Danielle plays high-stake games. Danielle plays high-stake games where she's part of a conveyor belt of perfection, like timeline. There is a need to reach your goals. If imagine you run a business and nothing fell on time, that's just going to be, what the hell are we saying? That's not what we're suggesting. What I'm saying is that in order to make sure that those lines hit, it's not about everybody being perfect. It's about how do you coach things around you when Danielle can see shit other people can't see. Right? So she could tell Ashley stinks right now. And Ashley smells good. But she's like, she's going to stink about 30 more minutes, give her some time. That's how dope her mind is. But what she has to realize that if you're managing around people and you can see that, it is not meant for you to become superior, but it's a responsibility. And that responsibility can only be served through love and development of others and give people awareness and making smart moves, right? It's not going to be served by, I cast design. I don't get it. All right, fine. Fuck your shit too. And so when you gain that gift, you got to see it as a responsibility. And then how do I, it's almost like if you did a prayer tonight and say, God, how do I use this responsibility to serve my brothers and sisters? Not how do I use this gift to judge my brothers and sisters?
Fuck no. Hell no. Yeah.
So, Danielle, you hella dope. I mean, you know I love you. I love your stinking ass. But she stink. Everybody stink. You stink too. Everybody stink. But, what? She don't stink right now though, right? Jews stink. I'll tell you, Jesus stinked. But your point is this, and so, but everybody has to stink.
I'm not saying a word.
I'm playing with the word stink to show you that everybody's imperfect. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. I love Danielle. I'm one of her greatest fans. But even I know she's not perfect. And I don't hold none of that against her because she's still a sight to see. She's still the sunshine in the room. Who gives a fuck if every once in a while a light bulb goes out?
It goes out in
It's
everybody.
that's what life is about. Shit, my wife light bulbs goes out all the time. I don't give a shit. She's still amazing to me. My daughter is like, she's so motherfucking bright. I don't wear my darkest shades around her, Ray-Bans. And she's still imperfect, and I still love her. That's how we got to move through life. All
Yep.
this perfect seeking. Stop watching TV, y'all. It's not
And
real.
our lights go out. We go dim
Man.
all the time.
Man, I probably as soon as I leave this class, I'm going to go dark. Shit. Go ahead, Ashley.
So
You
my-
don't stink, Ashley. You
No, that's fresh. I'm good.
Go ahead,
So
Turn your fans on. No boy. I just playing, Ashley. The window's
It's all
already open. Go
good.
ahead. Folks are like, I ain't coming to class. Y'all cold piece. Fuck that. You know we black. We cap. Y'all kiss my ass. Go ahead. I don't say we all stink. Shit.
So my question is, I'm still struggling with telling myself or living in stories or narratives that don't serve me, and I've come to a place where I'm aware of some of those stories, and I'm trying to tell myself new ones, but the question is, how do I develop practices or a process to fully own those new stories?
Okay, so a couple things. Let's go over some basics. Are you examining, have you changed the top 5 people that you were hanging out when you started this class?
There's a couple that's still around.
And that's a Fern answer. This is a couple, you know. There's a couple in my life. You understand me? Fern, you've been around Fern a little bit too long. I understand that's that pip talk. Okay, yeah, we done turned Fern into a businesswoman, into like a black woman, Hugh Hefner / Goldie / Superfly. We done made her all that, but you know what? That's how I fly.
It's fun though.
But Fern is fly as motherfucker. Man, look here. When I first met Fern, I thought I saw my own family member. Like, she got so much swag and so much flavor that if you don't love Fern, fuck you. Anyway, but back to the point. Hey, man, Fern is like, when I see Fern, I see my foundation. Because she's like, the blackness is in my foundation. I see in Fern, so I love that motherfucker. Anyway,
Yeah.
but back to the game. Your environment has to complement your changes. That's one. So, look, when you decide you want to change, you got to understand what that means. You don't show up to the conversations the same no more. Everybody I rode with before I started Fight Team Media, I don't ride with now. I still love them. I didn't, write them a letter like, today our friendship's going to be over, don't call me again. Oh, you fuck, what's wrong with you? No. My partners would wrote back like, you can start writing these dumbass letters and you want to send me a drink or what? Right? Like, that's how my partners would respond. Because it don't make no sense for a man to write another man. So, no, I didn't do that. To female, no, I didn't write that to the women I knew. Nobody. But what happens is that I don't want to go to the same places no more. I don't want to talk the same shit no more. I don't want to do the same things no more. So part of this change you're asking for is having the kind of people around you that's inspiring that change. 2, look at your basic habits. What is your basic habit? Like literally, write down your basic habits to the week. Are they complementing this change? Because when you say, what practices should I have? There's a whole bunch of them, but it comes into like creating a structure in your life. Because if you look at anybody who's successful of anything, of high performance, they have structure. You can't find me a superstar athlete that don't have a serious structure. What they eat, how long they stay up, what they do, what they watch, how they think, how they process, who they talk to, right? If you hanging out with a superstar at a mall, and there's certain things he will won't say, there's certain things he will or won't do, there's certain things you can't capture on your camera while you with him, right? Because in the end, it's a lifestyle. So you ask yourself, are you comfortable in your old lifestyle, trying to seek out a new lifestyle, and are you willing to give up that old lifestyle? That's a major one. That's major, because that's a hard decision to make, and it's a decision you have to make by yourself. It ain't a decision you don't call nobody up and be like, you know what, I'm finally finished with your stupid ass, I'm leaving. No, that's not what I said. It's a journey you got to take for you because it's good for you, not because resentment or dislike or status statement to people around you. 1. 2, you got to get comfortable chasing the truth. And you got to get comfortable letting go status. Those are hard for black people. They ain't just you. Like, all the feedback we gave today, nobody's been singled out. And that includes you. Black folks letting go status, remember, we all want power. So our status is a form of power for us. So you take away status, we feel like we nobody. Can you let that go? Because sometimes to get status means you have to maintain status. Maintain status means it's a vacuum of your time, a vacuum of your attention, a vacuum of your life, which means it steals from the dreams you really wanted, the things you really want to do. So can you let go of that portion of status that's pulling you away from what you want to do? Can you let go? And when I say seeking truth, do you want truth? Or are you just trying to make some shit work? And truth is slow, painful, grimy. Making shit work is fast, quick, and impressive. Impressive to those who don't know any better. Before I got here, when I was in my first year of business, I could talk that shit to the hood, they'd love me. Nah, here, motherfucking businessman, y'all let this motherfucker right here talk. Here, put some word on you, baby. I'll give you some little game about this shit right here. I'm like, yeah, man, let me tell you how this shit works. In business, you gotta like be serious about your shit though. That's like, that motherfucker deep though, man. That motherfucker deep as a motherfucker, man. I'm like, man, you know, that's just, I be reading motherfucking books and shit. You know, that's how I get down. Didn't know shit. Didn't know, my ego is all popping collars. I'm loving the status. I'm loving the talk. I ain't wasn't seeking truth. I was seeking more of that shit. Mm-hmm. And when I realized that shit, me and Mashama came to the epiphany at the exact same motherfucking time. We had a year where we was talking to everybody. 5T Media was the drop-in hot spot. Yap, 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 yap. We dropping words like it's just nothing. We looked at our bank account and said, what the fuck have we done? None. We had nan. Yeah, that's all we had to make was
Yo, no nan.
yeah, nan. And so at that point, we was like,
That's
we got the game fucked up. We got all the energy working on other people's shit and not working on our shit. We got our patterns all fucked up. And that day we committed to like, oh nah, we're not doing this. That's why when you try to catch me on a weekday, it's hard to fuck with me for me to catch up with you. And I'm like, yo, you catch me, you gotta catch me when I'm running between A and B. Because this is my time right here. These 3 hours, and I said, I'm telling you, bro, I'm gone. Because I can make y'all life more important than my life. And then I fuck around, I don't have a life. And y'all won't see me because I'd be too ashamed to let you see me. I'm not going to that dark ass space. So at the end of the day, I can cut everybody loose because at the end of the day, I got to put the mask on my own face first. So that decision you have to make is going to be, do you want truth or do you want status? And that's going to be a painful decision because you got to make a lot of hard calls. Whew, shit, hard calls.
Yeah. I'll just add this, is that never give up on your self-talk. Your self-talk isn't one argument or one conversation with yourself. Right now, you have one dominant voice that has grown into this big adult voice from your childhood. Whoever taught it to you, that's been growing inside of you. So that voice is 20-something years old. And then now you got this new way of thinking, and you got this little teeny voice that's saying, I'm smart, I'm somebody. I love myself. And it's like, shut the fuck up. So the thing is, the more you don't give up on it, that voice grows. It gets stronger and stronger and bigger and bigger and stronger and bigger and bigger. And now you arguing. Now over time, you ditch those friends who feed into this one. You continue to grow. You continue to be humble. You read, you learn, and you never give up on the voice, even if you feel like you're losing a battle. And over time, that voice gets dominant. And then at some point, it just drifts off because it doesn't happen anymore. You forgot. I mean, when this was taught to me, I was going through some fucked up times. And my self-talk was horrible. My self-value was low. So my voices in my head were all negative shit because I was on some suicidal. It was in a suicidal time for me. So that means when you're in a suicidal place, those voices are loud and strong and they don't give a fuck. So I had to start on that same journey. And it was funny because it would be like, it would be arguing in my head back and forth. And it was a losing battle because I'd say the positive thing 1,000 times in my head, and then two minutes later, it's back to being depressed because the muscles were weak. But guess what? The next day, we just gonna have to do this again. The next day, we're gonna have to do this again 1,000 times. And over time, it took a year. It took a year and a half. And then all of a sudden, I just forgot when it stopped happening. I just forgot. I can't even tell you when it stopped, but it stopped because you're feeding that. You're feeding that side of yourself and over it. And this is all illusion. It's not real. That side is not real. It's some bullshit. It's somebody mama taught you. It's your mama or your daddy or your friend, whatever. It's not even real. It's just the more you feed it, you don't give up on it. You challenge it every fucking time. Nope, it's not true. Nope, that's not true. When you hear that voice, nope, that's not true. Here's all the reasons why that's not true. This, and that. Even if 5 minutes later, you go back to it. Nope, it's not true. It's like, you fucking arguing. Now that voice is like, this motherfucker's arguing with me every time. So this is how it's going to be? Yep, every time. Because I ain't going for it. And if 9 months later, a year and a half later, you stand up, you continue to build that, you'll forget when it happened. All of a sudden, you're in a better space.
And correct me. So I'm gonna try to go a little. I'm gonna try to take our two concepts, but put them both in context. And correct me, like jump in if you say nah, because sometimes I go deep thought. Then we get into slight calibration, but it's critical because calibration could be like that wall you can't get past. You're like, I don't understand why I can't get over that wall. So what I gave you was this idea of a decision you have to make. What he gave you is the real journey. So when you start off on that journey, look, you got to backslide numerous times to be saved. You ain't no such thing as just getting, you're going to make a lot of mistakes, but you can't shame yourself when you slip. And you can't attach your personal value to your slips. You got to realize that that's how the climb is going to work. Like part of the climb is a lot of backsliding, but you're making traction through the process. But you can't say every time you fall down, it can't be a thing. It has to be, that's part of it. And your energy has, instead of you focus on the fall, you focus on the try again. That's your mind like, oh, I slipped. No, okay, I'm gonna do it different this time. And then you just make a traction as opposed to, I slipped, fuck, what is wrong with me? Now you put the energy on the wrong side of that equation. So you're shifting energy towards restarting. But you can get stuck in purgatory. And this is what I'm seeing with a lot of students in this class. You guys haven't made the decision. Not you, but a lot of people in this class. I'm speaking kind of broader now. But if it applies to you, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. A lot of people love the information, but haven't made the decision. Look, when you decide to lose weight, you can go to the gym, you can go on a diet, you still ain't gonna lose no weight. It's until you get into a persistent pattern, the weight comes off. But to get to that persistent pattern is a lot of start, longer. And there might even be one where you run a long time and you do a big slide back, and then you do a long time, and then finally you just got a rhythm going, right? And now you kind of found your stable space. And of course, each decade is going to offer a different challenge, and then you have to make another adjustment for those other outside challenges that come along with it. But there's some people who try to cheat the process. And this is how they try to cheat the process. I'm gonna take this pill. I'm gonna get a weight bill that shocks me. I'm gonna starve myself. I'm gonna eat beans and broccoli every day until I lose weight. Not realizing that the body, because you're trying to cheat the process, there's hidden principles that are gonna give you a hard backslide effect. That's gonna be more extreme. So what I'm saying to you is that a lot of people are sitting in this class and they listen to these books and these classes and these eloquent descriptions of different ways to process thought in these different scenarios, but they come offline at 9:15, 9:30, 9:45, and they instantly just jump back in their old lifestyle, and they get busy in their old lifestyle, and then they come back, and then it turns into something that's more poisonous for you. Because now you don't work in both worlds. you're fucking up in your old world because your old ways made work fine for the old world. Like, it's like when you take somebody off the streets that's really, really low and you try to put them in a high lifestyle, they betray both worlds, right? Or like you ever seen when they say if a bird falls out of a tree, don't touch the bird because once it detects human hands, the parent just be like, I'm done with you. So let the parent come get the bird. There's an old saying my grandmother introduces us to. What I'm saying is that you got to make a decision, otherwise you're deteriorating both worlds. And that's what happens with that's where the toxic damage of this class can come in. Is you're hanging between two worlds and you're trying to satisfy both, and you're not good in either world now. As opposed to commit to one or the other. Look, don't try to be a gangster and be on some old moral square shit on the side because you get caught slipping. That's how you get killed. If you're gonna do it, do it. If you're not, don't do it. And so part of you guys don't realize you got to make a decision. Now, in the process of making a decision, it doesn't mean you, like I said, you don't go write a letter. He just gave you the clear description. As you start to get into it, those friends will organically fall off. Organically, the separation space will happen. You don't have to make no announcement. It'll organically happen. But before that process even starts to unfold, you have to make a decision. I'm going to take this path. But you can't say, I'm going to be loyal to this. You were there when I was there. Remember when I had no food? You brought me food. We're going to ride to the end of the earth. And you ride with this person. And you try to get this new lifestyle. And you're going to realize that you have to make a decision at some point. And really, you don't realize every time you're around that person is normalizing your poverty rhythms. Your poverty discipline, your poverty comfort, your poverty stresses. And so when you try to make a change, they make it, okay, for example, imagine me and you are overweight. And we say, yo, we're going to run Joaquin Miller Hill, me and you. And as soon as we take off, you complain and I complain. How far you think we're going to get? Not that far at all. But like, this shit hurt my knee. Hurt your knees too? Yeah, it hurt my knees too. Shit, we ain't got the right shoes for this. What the fuck are we thinking? This shit crazy. Oh my God, I'm sweating. Look at my makeup running. Oh shit, I'm gonna drop my phone. My palm is sweaty. Right? Okay, I ain't gonna go that far. Right? Because I'm a person with, I have so many issues. I'm not gonna even run out of breath. I run out of patience. I'm out. Right? That's a whole different conversation. Right?
Right.
But let's say I'm with somebody who does it all the time. And they're like, yo, I know you feel this way, but trust me, just keep pushing. Yo, I know this is usually when you're sweaty. Put the phone in your pocket, just keep going. You know what? Tell you what, let's finish it. Your feet gonna hurt this time, but next time, these are shoes you wanna buy. You see the difference? They soften the struggle and they normalize the process. They lower the tension and raise the confidence. And so the people around you is a girl talking about, man, whatever, this is too much. Fuck what you heard. And so this is the mindset of the people around you. Why this is not a light conversation. This is some real serious shit. Real serious shit. I had to cut loose everybody who was trying to pull me the other direction. Last point, and I'm going to let him close out the closing points and we close the class. So I used to do Chicago, I do Chicago stepping. I still do a little bit, just at the house, nothing special. But I was deep into it. I'm talking about traveling back and forth to Chicago. That's why I know so many people, like I call these people my family in Chicago. They're really like my family. I still stay in touch with them. That includes Dave Max and a whole bunch of other people that I like in Chicago that I really love these people, right? T. Pratt, he's in class, a whole bunch, anyway, I would call names for too damn long. Anyway, so I was dancing, flying back to Chicago, flying to either, because they stepped all over the United States. I would be flying to different parties, different big events, and everybody would convene, and it'd be like, thousands of black folks. We dancing together, love stepping. What you want to do, girl? And I stopped paying attention to my business. I was doing the work, I promise, but I wasn't watching the business. Phi Theta Media doors almost closed. And I remember that 1 month where no money, down to zero, and I tell Mashama, I tell everybody, I said, oh, I'm leaving Stepping Scene. I'm about to lose Phi Theta Media. I'm tripping. Because I was trying to live in two worlds. I was always trying to dance and party, And I couldn't, not that I didn't love fight. I always loved Fight Team Media. Come on, Fight Team Media. Fucking name. I created the fucking name. I love Fight Team Media. But I was trying to split my heart, meaning that both were being neglected. I wasn't dancing as hard as some of the people who went there all the time, who danced for like more than 7 days a week. I wasn't dancing like them. And I wasn't hitting Fight Team Media hard either. And literally, Fight Team Media, I'm talking about, it was skipping on the bottom like this. And so what I did was, I walked away from stepping, and I locked in. 3 years later, I was sitting on 500 grand comfortably. Next thing you know, I was hitting $1 million a year, right? But that required for me to make a decision, which was hard, which was, what do you want to do, bruh? You trying to build this shit here, or are you trying to be the step in the name of love? What the fuck you want to do? Now, it can seem superficial because I'm here now, but when you ain't at the top of the game here, when you're at the bottom, when you're starting this, they feel kind of equal. But I had to think about the long. What do I want long term? Do I want to tell my daughter, you know, your daddy can outdance everybody? Or do I want to say, hey, baby, you ready to go to university? I got that. If that's where you want to be at? I got that. What mattered more to me? And that's how I walked away. So that's a serious question, because I'm not saying that because I'm judging you personally. I'm saying that because of your age and space you sit in. That's a dominant theme at your age. It's dominant because you just came out of high school. High school sets you up for the popularity game and doesn't end till you about your 30s, late 30s. I'm not lying, like by 40 for a lot of black people, or 50-some black people, it doesn't end. I'm not exaggerating that. A lot of human beings don't stop chasing popularity to a long-ass time. You know cats right now that still be at all the club scenes. We're at club scenes when you were in the 3rd grade, they still the motherfucking club scene. GQ is a motherfucker flies. I can call out names if I had to, if y'all want to get me serious, but I'm not going to do it today. And they fly as fuck. They at the club. They popular as fuck, and they happy as hell. But if you ever go look at their bank account, their bank account says they should be on Prozac.
I have nothing to say. I have no. Oh man, Prozac. No, I think there was this was beautiful actually. The questions were beautiful. I think there's a lot of nuggets in this class that you could easily rewind and tap back into. Self-love has always been the theme, and it's gonna be the theme. So I thank you, Ashley, for bringing that up. Self-love, like, and it all comes down to self-talk, and it comes down to the first book we read, Vishen Lakhiani. That book is the book that can help you start unlocking that shit. There's a meditation in that Vishen Lakhiani book where he talks about it's a forgiveness one, saying, I give you love, I accept your love, and I wish you well. Don't take any of those for granted. Like, go through the book, go through the shit. Even in 6 months, as you're trekking through the rest of the class, there's all the questions that you have had tonight. It seems like you can go back in some of the books we read and go back into them. Play with them. Look at different chapters, because the nuggets are there. And now that you have the questions, you can dig back in. And since your vibration has changed, it goes back to one of those questions. Your vibration, your frequency, we'll call it. You have raised your frequency. And how you know that you raised your frequency, you're going to go back and skim through some of the books you read, and you're going to see brand new ass points. I read this book. I read this part. Yes, you read it, but your frequency was different. It was lower. So now you match the frequency of the words on this book. Now it resonates with you. That's the beauty of what you guys is doing and what we're doing in this class. So thanks for that.
Right on, man. Y'all have a good night. Yo, good job, bro. Real good job. Oh, yeah. Peace. All right, y'all. Good.